Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping and Paul Felder.
Brian says we're good to go, Paul. So we are good to go. I see you came festive today. You are dressed up as,
a plastic patty? A plastic patty. I'll say it for you. I'll say it for you.
Patty, let's go. Hey. Go on.
This is the plastic patty day, Michael. I mean, it's St. Patty's Day. And, anybody that has even 1% Irish, you're Irish today. So today is the day. I figured I'd dress up. I knew you wouldn't. And I figured with the nickname, the Irish Dragon for my career, it was only fitting that I would throw on some. This is, I think, Scottish, though.
Well, on today's show, everyone, we have an Englishman, an Irishman, that'll be Paul Felder. We have a Welshman, Oban Elliott, and an Australian in the name of Alexander Volkanovski. That's like a joke somewhere. An Englishman, an Irishman, a Welshman, and an Australian walk into a bar. I put on something on Twitter for a good joke, but they're all terrible. I asked Harrison, you got any good Irish jokes? And they were bad. I was like, don't give up your day job, buddy. Do you have any good Irish jokes, Paul?
I have one that my dad used to say. How many beans does it take to make Irish bean soup?
I don't know. How many beans does it take to make Irish bean soup?
2 farty.
Oh, I saw that. I saw one online and it said
2 farty.
Oh God. Hey,
what's the best time to go to the dentist?
Go ahead.
2:30. 2:30.
They're getting worse. They're getting worse. What are you calling that? This is an English terminology. What did you hear about the Irish shoplifter?
No.
He was found dead under Tesco's. That's it's like Ralph's.
Okay. Yeah.
Irish shoplifter found dead under Tesco's. It's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. Conor McGregor at the White House.
What a day for the Irish. Conor McGregor at the White House, St. Patty's Day. It's all happening. They're taking over. And they're taking over again now in politics, apparently. So
the Prime Minister came out and just said that Conor McGregor does not reflect the Irish people or represent the Irish people or something like that. I forget what he said, but I'll be honest, Conor, he's saying what a lot of people are thinking. People's countries do need to be, their identities to a certain degree. You want to keep it. You want to keep Ireland. You want to keep America. Yeah, you want multiculturalism and diversity and all. That's all well and good, But when people go to Ireland, they want to see people looking like you with a ginger beard and a flat cap.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said about that. I feel like the identity.
I'm all in green.
Is that a green T-shirt?
It's a green T-shirt.
Yeah, I can see that now. It looks it's a dark green. It's subtle green. It's nice.
It's the best I could do, but I can do this as well. Should we call my mother?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's have a go. Let's have a listen to this. She'll be all panicked and shocked. I'll unplug my headphones. She'll go, hello? Hello? Oh, she won't pick up. She's not going to pick up. She's like, Mom? She's not going to pick up.
Hello?
Hello, Mother.
Hello.
It's St. Patrick's Day. We thought we'd give you a call.
I see.
You're live on the podcast, Mother.
What?
Yeah, it's your big day. It's your lucky break. You're going to be famous after this.
Why?
Why
am I going to be famous?
Because you're on the biggest mixed martial arts podcast on planet Earth. Say hello to Paul Felder. He's the Irish Dragon, Mom.
Really? Oh.
Best response.
Do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day, Mom?
Well, we used to when I lived at home. We always did. Always used to go to mass and have a little piece of shamrock in her breast.
Oh, yeah. But did you get shit-faced drunk? Don't lie.
What?
Did you get very drunk?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, don't lie, Mom. Don't lie. Anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day. We're going to get on with the show. We'll let you go.
Thank you.
Talk to you later, Mom. Love you. Bye-bye.
Okay, then. Bye-bye. That was quick.
Yeah, I'll call you. Back, don't worry. We're doing a podcast, Mom. Don't be offended. Talk to you in a bit. Bye-bye.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Oh, God. She's like, well, that was short. But don't worry.
Michael.
I know. I apologize, everybody. You're like, this is
Teased your mom. You teased your mom. She thought she was getting a good call from the son, and you just throw on the podcast and then say deuces. Yeah, you got to call her after the show now.
Well, she didn't have anything good to say. I'm like, Mom, give me a good story. He's like, oh, yeah. We used to go to mass or whatever. Anyway, what is going on? Harrington and Brian, are you guys there? Are you celebrating St. Patrick's Day? Is it a big day for you?
Are you gonna though? Are you guys got? Oh well, there we go. I mean, Harrington's got it going on. What are the What do you guys have planned? I told Michael earlier. My buddy is playing live music at a very Irish bar here in Delaware County, and I'm like on the fence if I want to. I'm leaving for London tomorrow.
You got to go, Paul. You got to go. You got to make memories. Live for the moment. You'll be fine. Yeah. You've got a long flight to London. You can lie on the plane, your business class, the UFC hook it up. You're going to have a lie flat bed, show up, hungover, have 2 beers at the airport. That takes the edge off. Lie in the bed, wake up, Wednesday in London, good to go.
Good to go. Yeah.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Waking up hungover in a foreign country?
Well, I mean, it's London. It's if you're going to wake up hungover somewhere, at least it's London. I can walk for breakfast and then get 3 pints of beer while I'm there.
Sounds like an average travel day to me, if I'm totally honest.
I mean, it's not far off when it comes to going over to the UK, especially.
There's something about when you go to the airport, it doesn't matter what time it is. In the UK, anyway, it doesn't matter what time it is.
It doesn't matter anywhere. 100%. There is no time, because when you're doing travel, it's as if you just time stops in that port, right? You're right there and there's nothing to do. You sit around bored out of your mind most of the time, especially if you have layovers, whether you're in a lounge or just at a bar. I'm 100% in complete agreement with that. And I've been with some friends. My buddy Bill went to one of the Florida shows not too long ago, and he was up all night the night before. We were on the same flight to Florida. I got there 6 a.m. to the airport. Bill got there early. He was already 2 or 3 drinks deep at the airport, just riding. He was like, dude, I'm just going to ride it out and then sleep on the flight over there. No point in turning back now.
That guy knows what he's doing. There's method to the madness. As I say, we do have a lot to talk about here. We had fights at the weekend. Roman Dolidze versus Marvin Vettori. Very competitive fight. Roman Dolidze got the win. He was rocking the fur on the walkout, rocking it in the post-fight speech. I loved that. I thought he looked cool as hell.
Oh, I mean, looked like a warrior out there, a very fashionable warrior, but still looked good. And he looked good, man. I feel like he kind of fixed some of the things that maybe weren't going right in the first time that they fought. It was a very close fight the first time, another very close fight this time, but I did think that he won that fight. And I know there's talks of a trilogy, but for the sake of Dolidze, I hope he gets somebody a little further up the ranks and gets to kind of move on from that situation and gets to fight somebody fresh. Because a third fight, and it's not like these guys are title eliminators. I just don't think it warrants a rubber match to see that one again anytime soon.
I completely agree. I respect Roman Dolidze for saying that and saying he'll give him the opportunity because they want a piece. And, typically you think that would be the natural course of events, but it wasn't a title fight. This wasn't like Sean Strickland and Dricus if they went one apiece. Yeah. There's no title. They want to be champions. They want to move forward with their careers, maybe down the line. But right now, I don't think it makes sense at all. Fair play to Marvin Vettori. He showed up. He is tough as hell, man. You could hit him with a sledgehammer and he will not go down. He never stopped trying. But Roman landed the bigger shots, put on a great pace, pressure, just a really, really good performance. He's a beast of a human being.
He's just a tough son of a bitch, man. Like, you can just tell that dude is a freaking phenomenal grappler, really slick grappler, and just doesn't even care. Like, if you got to trade with him on the feet for 25 minutes, he didn't give a shit. And he's not the most polished striker. Like, he doesn't do things perfect in there, but my God, he moves forward. You can tell he just throws big bombs, big punches, mixes it up well enough. When he needs to clinch and kind of change the pace of the fight, he's able to do that. But are you struggling to look at how Irish?
No. I'm just thinking
jealous
about
of this cap?
No, it looks good. I think I would look foolish in a flat cap.
I think I look foolish, to be fair.
No, you don't. You don't. You pull it off. You look good. No, I was just smirking to myself as you was talking, because when I was interviewing him at the end, obviously Marvin did a lot of damage and landed a lot of shots, and he had blood pouring out of his mouth, and he was spitting blood all over the white shirt and shit. And he had that fur, I don't know what it was, but like the fur over his shoulders. And like, if you think of like a TV show like Vikings, Roman Dolidze, 100%. He's that guy. You go back in time, that's what you were dealing with. You know, you're invading Georgia or whatever. There's Roman Dolidze at the front lines with a battle axe covered in blood with the fur all over him. You're like, yeah, this, I'm out of here. You're good, thanks.
He's definitely the guy that had the axe, right? He strikes me as the guy that was wielding one of the bigger weapons of back then. He's just a big monster of a dude. And again, he didn't even get to showcase any of those grappling skills really in that fight. And that's where that guy, I think, shines more than ever. So the fact that he can pretty much show that he can go 25 minutes in primarily a stand-up battle is you like to see. You like to see a guy like that too, that has that ace in his back pocket, but didn't need to pull it, and can be exciting, can be fun to watch on the feet, and doesn't just dive at the ankles and try to take guys down and control them. And he's capable of doing that if he really wanted to. I don't know if his wrestling is there though. The grappling is there, but I think that might be somewhere where he can continue to improve, is his capability of getting guys to the ground when he wants them there, or knock them down. I mean, he was trying that.
All right, this episode is sponsored by Manscaped, that are here to help you out, because spring isn't just for spring cleaning, getting rid of that bad shirt. No, it's for taking care of your balls, your face, and everywhere in between. And right now I'm going to tell you about Manscaped's Beard and Balls Bundle, which has got you covered from cheek to cheek. And by the way, you can join over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and use the code BELIEVE to get 20% off and free international shipping at manscaped.com. So they've got the Beard Hedger, which keeps your beard crispy like a freshly bloomed flower. They've got customizable trimming on the Beard Hedger, because you need 20 adjustable settings if you're going to get it just right. Effortlessly shape your beard from light spring stubble to a bold, well-defined style. It's got a dual blade system on the Lawnmower 5.0. The dual blade system with the interchangeable foil and trimmer blades keeps things fresh and smooth, even in the most sensitive spots. I'm talking about your penis. You don't want to cut your penis. That's why it's got skin-safe technology designed to minimize nicks and irritation. It's got long-lasting power. It will last up to an hour and 75 minutes long on the Lawnmower 5.0. It's got a waterproof design, so if you want to trim your balls in the shower, fill your boots. It's got precision lighting. It's got an LED spotlight on it if you want to do it in the dark. It's travel friendly with a built-in travel lock. Your grooming tools stay secure on the go. And by the way, you also get a risk-free trial, a 30-day money-back guarantee. So don't cut corners on your grooming routine. Upgrade to the Beard and Balls Bundle from Manscaped. Visit manscaped.com and use the code BELIEVE to get 20% off and free shipping. Or if you need it today, then just go into one of the Manscaped stores near you. Stay fresh this season for everyone's sake. Level up your grooming game today. Manscaped.com. Use the code BELIEVE for 20% off and free shipping. It was a good night of fights, though. 9 stoppages overall. The night started 2 head kick knockouts in the first round to get us off started there. Just trying to look here. Carlos Vera made his second UFC fight, took on a guy from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, Carlos Vera, I don't know if you called his first fight. Did you? He's from Ecuador. He's a really, really good high-level grappler. Rolls a lot of Imanari rolls and stuff like that. And in his first fight, that's all he was doing. And you know how we feel about that when you're let on your back the whole time and they're rolling for the leg locks and they're not, you know what I mean? It's like,
not a good look.
You're going to get a little bit of criticism from the commentators.
Yeah.
He came into the fighter meeting straight away with an attitude. Oh yeah. Well, just so you know, Bisping, I've torn my shoulder in 30 seconds. So that's why I was lying on the floor. I'm like, well, I'm not a mind reader, buddy.
I don't know that. Yeah.
I don't have Superman X-ray vision. I didn't know that, you know. And then he gets a beautiful head kick knockout. It really was. He gets a knockout, and then on the microphone, he gives me a little bit more. He just had a friendly dig. He's like, yeah, well, I got to thank you, Michael, for getting the knockout because you were complaining or something like that, you know. I'm like, yeah, well, good. Well, maybe if you get the bonus, you can thank me later.
Send me my percentage there for motivating you to keep it on the feet and showcase your skills.
No, he's great, though. He's very, very good. Who else was on there? Brendan Hilario got the submission of Adil Nurgajai. Damon Blackshear beat Cody Gibson. Anthony Alexander Hernandez beat Kurt Holloway. Chirien Jaquani got a knockout in round 2 of Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos. What's going on in your world, Paul?
I mean, just getting ready to go to the UK tomorrow, getting ready to go to London. I did go to my friend's fight this Friday for CFFC, which is the organization I fought for, got the belt for before I got signed to the UFC. And it was a good night of fights, man. There were some big knockouts. There were some good fights. And my buddy, Ryan, he went and got a knockout. So I'm glad I have a voice today. It took me a few days because I was just, you know how it is. You're there to see a friend and screaming my face off and drank way too much bourbon, woke up feeling like absolute shit the next day. So, but yeah, it was a good weekend. And then because of that, I totally forgot. I woke up almost all of Saturday morning thinking it was Sunday and forgetting that there was even UFC fights on because I'd spent the Friday night out watching fights that I totally forgot. Missed most of the prelims, unfortunately. Saw a lot of the highlights and things, but then dialed in, was able to watch the main card. But I was like, oh shit, that's right. It's Saturday.
Oh, good. We will go through UFC London towards the end of the show. Maybe Harrington and Brian can make some picks because we'll be on the call. We've got Volkanovski, as I said, and Oban Elliott, plus Harrington's done a pretty good job with some notes. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. You probably don't know this, and I'll run through it very quickly. We used to have a dog. I've got a picture of him somewhere in the background. Alfie, big German Shepherd. He died at like 4 or 5 years old. He got a thing called a fistula, which is where his own immune system attacks him. His butthole kind of scarred up. He couldn't pass. He couldn't take a dump. Right? And it was awful. We had a balloon stuck up his ass, and the balloon pumped up to tear the asshole. That cost $5,000. And then he died a slow death. It was the most undignified way to go, right? It was horrible. And then in the end, we had to put him down, okay? I've wanted another dog for quite some time, right? Rebecca's, no, we're not doing that. We have a little Harry, but I wanted a real dog.
Right.
Harry goes on these walks with these pack walks, okay? And the woman that runs the pack walk, she's very nice. They've got another dog. It's a German Shepherd. It's 5 years old. It needs a home. It needs adopting, right?
Oh.
And she's going to adopt it. Brian showed this picture. Guess what? It's got a fistula. It's got the same problem.
Oh, my God.
So tell me, what do you do in this situation? What do you do? That dog there needs a home. I'm sure it's a great dog, but I'm like, babe, we can't take this on again.
He's got the same issue that your other dog had.
The same issue. Now she's going to a vet appointment later today, to check it out because apparently he's doing better. I'm like, right, we'll go to the vet appointment. I'm all for helping dogs, and I wanted another dog in the house. I'm like, babe, there's a million dogs out there. Remove the emotional attachment. Fuck this dog. It's got the same issue.
And how old is this dog?
5.
Oh my God.
I know. And I'm the bad guy.
No, I don't blame you. I'd be in the same boat. I mean, if you're staring down the barrel of the same issues where you're literally putting balloons up a dog's butt to tear scar tissue so he can take a dump at 5 already. And German Shepherds, I don't think are known for having super long lives as it is, right? Maybe 8, 9 years old is like kind of maybe average for them.
Exactly.
I don't know. Avoid Michael.
Yeah. Anyway, believers, let me know in the comment section. No doubt you will. Am I being heartless, or should we?
No,
should we get the dog? Yeah.
I don't think you're being heartless. Not if it's got the same exact condition that your other dog had. That sounds like a nightmare.
Could you think of a worse way to go? Like you can't
not being able to take a dump and
imagine as a human being, you can't take a shit and you're just slowly filling, but you're so dumb that you don't know. So you're just eating like crazy. You put on loads of steroids, so he's hungry all the time. So he's chowing down on food, but can't take a dump. It really is just like, it's a brutal way to slowly die.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds just about one of the worst ways possible. It's, oh my God. You could just, how does your butthole scar close like that?
Inbreeding. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, should we talk about some mixed martial arts?
Yeah. Let's
Harrington, jump on in your
Oh yeah, let's
St.
see.
Patrick's Day regalia.
There he is. Is that St. Patrick's Day Santa?
Yeah, I have like a Santa hat with like a shamrock on it, but I can't find it. My wife keeps cleaning, and things disappear.
My stuff disappears all the time.
Am I wrong? I mean, because Harrington, you've got Irish heritage as well,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yeah, Harrington. That's as Irish as it gets.
Yeah, well, it's not as Mick Harrington would be more.
True,
Irish.
You still make them fun of anything.
Harrington.
Old Mick Harrington there. Do the Irish celebrate it like the Americans do? Because I know the Americans. There's a guy on Instagram called, I think it's I'm Delicious. Or do you follow that guy? Do you follow him? Brian, just look him up. He's an Irish guy. He's absolutely hilarious. That's delicious. That's what he finishes off, signs off with every single time. He's an Irish guy. And he's always, hold on, Brian, let me see if I can find him. And he's always talking crap. He did a video the other day about, look at this. They're dyeing the river in Chicago green. And he's going on about it. But it's pretty funny the way that he delivers it. But anyway, Harrington, give us a story. What have we got?
All right. So from the MMA world, I think the biggest story is UFC Iowa being official. A couple of fights straight up out of nowhere with Jeremy Stevens making his UFC return against Mason Jones. I don't think anyone had that on their bingo cards for 2025. And then two top prospects at 185, Bo Nickal and Reinier de Ridder in a co-main event. The main event for that is going to be Davison Figueiredo versus Corey Sandhagen. So Iowa.
Turning into a good card. Are you calling that one, Michael?
I will be there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, because Bo Nickal, obviously, still undefeated with the wrestling accolades. Striking's getting better all the time. It looks really good. This is a really, really interesting matchup. Reinier de Ridder, obviously on the ground, is phenomenal. Former two-weight champion over, I think it was ONE FC.
Yep.
But Bo Nickal, what's he going to do? Is he going to take him down? Who was Bo Nickal's last fight? And he didn't do a takedown. Paul Craig. And the crowd was booing like crazy.
Not happy with it.
And he got a little bit of criticism afterwards.
He got some shit. And I think justifiably so, right? That's a fight where Paul Craig, not known for his fabulous striking, right? This is an opportunity for you to be more aggressive. And when it wasn't working out on the feet, I think it was a huge opportunity for him to show that wrestling. And he just never did that. But that being said, I do think, though, that this is the perfect next step for him to kind of right the ship and to go out there and do a lot of the things that he wasn't able to do in that Paul Craig fight. You know what I mean? I think if he goes out there and does either knocks him out, is aggressive with the takedowns, and shows that he's not afraid to go to the floor with a really good grappler, I think he can get a lot of those people back that he pissed off. But he's definitely got to be aggressive. And I don't really think it matters on which way he decides that is, whether it's with the wrestling and the grappling and ground and pound, or whether it's on the feet. But either way, I just think that Bo Nickal's got to remind us again of why we thought that this guy, not even debuting in the UFC, could be talking about the names like Adesanya and Khamzat Chimaev and all these guys that are elite level in that division. So I think it's a good chance for him to show us why he's such a prospect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But a really good stylistic matchup. And Jeremy Stevens, did you, in your wildest dreams, think Jeremy Stevens would get re-signed to the UFC after knocking out Eddie Alvarez at bare knuckle?
No, I didn't. And I saw him making a bit of a push for that for Iowa, social media wise, and saying, I want to get back in there and trying to call out certain guys and all this. I'm like, there's no way they're going to do that. And they did it. Good on him to get this guy back in, who's been successful since he left the UFC doing other stuff like bare knuckle and stuff. I mean, he's still going to be a hell of a guy to watch in the octagon. I just hope he's been doing some MMA in his time doing bare knuckle boxing and grappling, because Mason Jones has fought his ass off to get back for this opportunity too. And I think it was maybe not Abu Dhabi. Where were we that he was maybe going to get the opportunity and his opponent didn't end up taking it, but he got signed regardless. I think maybe Saudi Arabia, he was supposed to get a short notice call. And it probably actually works out better for Mason Jones because he didn't have to fight on short notice, but he's still signed back to the UFC, and you get Jeremy Stevens. So big up for Mason Jones, who's been on a roll since he left the UFC, by the way.
The hardest hitting 145er. That's it. That's me right here. When I hit people, they go to sleep. That was a classic line by Conor McGregor, to be fair. It is one of the funniest ones. Who the is that guy? It was great, to be fair. That was kind of back in his prime. But yeah, Mason Jones, the Welsh Dragon, if I'm not mistaken, Paul.
He might be, yeah.
I think he is right. The Welsh Dragon versus the Irish Dragon.
He's the only dragon right now. I am retired dragon at this point.
I don't buy that for a second. You are training more than a lot of people that have fights coming up, Paul. You're always in the gym.
True, to be honest.
All right, today's episode is sponsored by Shopify that are going to allow you to take your business to the next level and do it very, very cheaply. Look, now when you think about businesses that are selling through the roof like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, or maybe brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making the selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Home of the #1 checkout on the planet, and the not so secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts getting abandoned and way more sales going on. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in the store, on the feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. So if you've got an idea or you've got a business already ongoing, then you've got to upgrade it today. So upgrade your business today and get the same checkout as Skims or Allbirds, like I mentioned before. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/believe, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/believe to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/believe. Did you see what Conor McGregor tweeted to Jeremy Stephens? If you can find that, Brian, I'm sorry to keep doing this to you. There was a tweet from Jeremy Stephens. He said, I've got your front row tickets to Iowa. He called him some names. He talked some shit, and rightly so. Fair play, because he's probably still trying to make that fight happen. But hey, fair play to Jeremy Stephens. Gets cut from the UFC, kind of, I don't know, fell into obscurity for a little bit there. We didn't hear much about him. Gets a fight in bare knuckle against Eddie Alvarez, breaks his jaw. Now he's back in the UFC, fighting in his hometown. And it's not disrespectful to Mason Jones, a very winnable fight, against Mason Jones. He could make a triumphant return.
You got to wonder, there's a world where what if Jeremy goes out there, has a stellar performance, and gets on the mic and goes all batshit crazy, calling Conor out there? You know what I mean? I know Conor and him were talking about fighting in bare knuckle, but we know contractually that's probably very unlikely to happen. But Conor still under contract with the UFC. He's been wanting a fight, talking about a fight. I think the fight with Michael Chandler, even though Michael still wants that, is kind of just like, I don't even care anymore at this point, right? It's been so long since that was supposed to happen. But if these two guys, I think Jeremy would have no problem making that fight at 155 or even higher. I don't think he gives a shit if it was at 185 if he gets a chance to fight Conor.
Do we think Conor, if you were to guess right now, do you think Conor is going to fight in the UFC again? Because if he is, that might just be the fight. But you don't
that's
think
what I'm saying. I don't think so. How long have we been waiting? And I'm not even talking trash on the guy, but at this point, like, if you haven't gotten in there and made it possible yet, in how many years since things have gone by, and there's plenty of opportunities and plenty of guys that want to fight you. And I know the other issue is obviously you got to make it it's got to be a big main event or co-main event spot to even use him for the company. But I just don't see it happening, man. And I'm not even saying why or what reasons outside of training could be doing that. But, he's at the White House today. He's doing bare knuckle stuff. He's got other things going on his plate. It's just, and when are you going to really buckle down? And he doesn't need it whatsoever.
He doesn't need it at all. 4 years away. 4 years away.
Come on,
it's
man.
a
That's
lifetime.
a long time.
It's a lifetime. Here's what Jeremy Stevens had to say. He said, Conor McGregor, you cannot run from me. I will find you and I will kill you, boy. Your time is up. I got you a front row seat in Iowa too. Wells Fargo Event Center, my hometown. Watch me break another jaw. And he just might do that. So fair play to Jeremy Stevens. I'm very happy with him. We got to talk about this. Obviously, last weekend, Magomed Ankalaev went out there, shocked the world, and took the belt off Alex Pereira. Apparently, negotiations are already underway. And Ankalaev has been out there, and what did he say to John Jones? Johnny steroids or something like that. I forget the exact tweet. He's going after John Jones in a big way.
Hey, he's opening up a little bit, right? I mean, he's got the belt now, and immediately he was going after people on Twitter, people that picked against him. He's going after John Jones, telling him to go and fight Tom Aspinall, and also his coaches are coming out of nowhere. I mean, they're claiming that Pereira was greased. The one guy, there's that clip of the one coach catching the freaking arrow as Pereira was doing his walkout. Maybe that's what saved him. Maybe that guy caught the arrow.
No, it's fair play. Fair play. I like to see a bit more personality coming out. And it just goes to show. Catches the arrow.
He stopped the voodoo.
To be fair, I mean, this is what everyone does. You become the champ and you immediately start looking at the next guy, which is what everyone does, right? So you can't blame him. That fight, we talked about it last week. Pereira losing cancels the John Jones versus Pereira fight. And there was a potential for that. And now he's already calling out Big Tom. And Tom Aspinall, he did like the handshake emoji. Tom Aspinall's like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. No problem.
So what? I had a question about that. Was that a call out, or was that like, hey, Tom, I did you a favor, cleared the way. There's no one else for John Jones to fight now?
Well, the only person for John Jones to fight right now is Tom Aspinall. We know that. We've been through it 20 times because, Alex Pereira's out the way. But I think Ankalaev was saying, hey, listen, by the way, I'll fight you. I wouldn't advise it.
I have that Ankalaev quote, by the way. He said, Johnny Steroid Machine was very disappointed. I beat Alex. Please fight Big Tom Aspinall. Stop running.
Yeah. So, it's when do you think that fight's going to happen? Because it's going to happen. International Fight Week.
That's already coming up, though. Like, I know it seems far away, but for us, like when we're calling fights, like that's not that far away for us to think about it. That's because this year it's in June, right?
I think it's July.
If it's July, it's a little further than I thought. But even still, I mean, we're in March.
3 months.
We're in March. It's not that long away. You got to hope that they can start really getting those negotiations going because it's only one-sided. Tom's just waiting. He's ready to go. It's really about just getting John to commit to doing this damn thing, man. It's going to be huge. But you know what? Again, then I start changing my mind again. Maybe he is always been willing to take it and just once the stakes really high. I don't know, but it makes me want it more.
No, it does. And we all want to see it, of course. But the question is this, and this is not me being a John Jones hater. This is not me, sticking up for Tom Aspinall or having any kind of bias anyway. At what point do you start conversations about stripping? Because in any other sport, certainly in boxing, if the champion will not fight the next mandatory challenger or won't fight the interim champion in the same weight class, then they will strip them. Now, granted, there's been a while now since November where negotiations can materialize and happen and take place. But as we said, it's in July. You want to have a 2-month training camp. You want to announce it. You want to have the big reveal, It's time for it to start happening. And it doesn't sound like it is because Tom Aspinall's sitting on trains trying to do everything he can to make the fight happen. So at some point, they might have to say, look, listen, John, we're going to give you a deadline. We're going to give you a deadline. You've got until the end of April. And if you will not accept this fight, then what do you want us to do? We're going to have to move on without you, which would mean removing the belt from you.
Yeah. And I know there's other guys that could fight Tom. But there's nothing anywhere near as interesting, even remotely, in the stratosphere other than Tom and John Jones fighting. And you're right. No, eventually it's going to have to be, well, that's it. You're not the champion. And now Tom's got to fight somebody else for the the actual belt, because at this point, I mean, we're talking months where we can't even get an agreement. You know what I mean? The date can be arranged, even if it's not an international fight week. You need more time, but like that's got to be cleared up, and they got to figure that out so they can start planning it, because it's got to be at a huge moment in UFC, right? They can't just be like, oh, all right, we'll make this random pay-per-view in, I don't know, some other state, some other city. Like that one's got to be in Vegas, in my opinion.
What are some of the biggest examples of people ducking fights? I know when it comes to me, people always say, oh, Bisping ducked Joel Romero and he ducked Robert Whittaker and he ended up fighting a welterweight and all the rest of it. I'm not even going to defend myself. That's bullshit. But throughout UFC history, what are the big ones that did we not get to see that we should have seen, that maybe you can kind of come up with the narrative that somebody was ducking? I mean, back in the day, Tito Ortiz apparently wouldn't fight Chuck Liddell for the longest time. They made it happen eventually, and it didn't go too well for Tito. Is there any others?
When GSP lost to Hendricks, did he ever rematch him?
I don't believe so.
Because I know that was a fight that kind of sent him off, right? That was like
GSP retired after that fight.
Yeah.
Until he came back and choked me out.
But years later in a different weight class, right? I mean, he didn't want that fight right away. I mean, everybody was saying that you got to run that one back. A lot of people thought he lost that fight, and it never happened. That was one where I can think of somebody that.
Harrington, do you have any? Normally, Harrington's got some. He'll say somebody ducked Macy Barber or something like that.
All right. The one that comes to mind is remember when Yair Rodriguez got cut from the company, I think, at one point because he refused to fight Zabit.
Oh yeah.
If I'm remembering that story correctly. It was like maybe 5-6 years ago at this point, but I believe that was a pretty popular one.
I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I do seem to remember something about that. But
a couple female ones. Jermaine Durandame gave up the belt rather than fight Cyborg. And then Nico Montagna had that the weight issue and whatever thing it was, but she got stripped because she didn't fight Valentina.
All right, today's episode is sponsored by Unbound Merino, which has got you covered for all your clothing needs. If you are on the go, if you are traveling, if you want to pack lightly but look stylish at the same time and just wear some quality clothing, Unbound Merino have you covered. Their clothing is made from merino wool, which is temperature regulating, moisture wicking, and most importantly, super comfortable. And I stand by that. Let me tell you, super comfortable. You don't even know you're wearing it and you look slick. Unbound makes it simple to pack for short or long trips, since their clothes can be worn for weeks on end without needing a wash. That doesn't mean you wear it every single day for weeks, but you can wear it once or twice. You can just hang it back up and it looks fantastic and it's good to go next time. With Unbound's versatile pieces, you can go straight from the plane to outdoor adventures to that swanky dinner without the headaches of overpacking or needing to change outfits every leg of the journey. Unbound was created by 3 lifelong friends that were looking to save that age-old problem of how to pack light when you're out there doing your jet setting. And as I said, because of the fabric that they are made of, that solves that problem. Now, first of all, the products are fantastic. They are high quality. They look great. They feel great. And they're very, very stylish. Unbound's clothing allows travelers to pack lighter, save on checked baggage fees, and spend more time focusing on creating travel memories. Head on over to the website, unboundmerino.com, where customers can use our code BELIEVE for 15% off the order. Trust me, go to the website, Unbound Merino. The stuff is beautiful. It really is. And it's very, very high quality. And with our code BELIEVE, when you go to unboundmerino.com, you're going to get 15% off the order.
Hey, Mike, I found that video of the Irish guy you were talking about.
Oh.
Give me 1 second. I'll pull that up. This guy is
I'm delicious.
silly.
This guy's funny. You got to give him a follow, Paul. He's talking about.
Oh, I will. There, dying the river green. Americans are mental. I fucking love America. I love watching you. We don't do this weird shit in Ireland. Me, if I walked out of the pub after a feed of pints and the river was green, I'd probably piss myself. Here's a time lapse. Look at them. I think I was probably 25 before I realised America was a real place. I used to think we just came up with you to spice up the news. Oh, look, your man from The Apprentice is bombing the Houthis. It's like an Irish fever dream. I feel like I haven't actually experienced being Irish until I go to America. I can't wait to see the parades. I'm going to review them tomorrow. America, enjoy your St. Patrick's Day, ye mental over the top. And follow me. I'm delicious.
Yeah, I forget what his profile name is, but he's a funny guy, man. You got to give him a follow. He's always taking the piss from one funny guy to another funny guy. Oban Elliott, the Welsh gangster, with the Irish dragon, Paul Felder. How you doing, Oban?
What's happening? How are you, Bisping? I'm good, mate. I'm good.
I'm good,
Thank
mate.
you for having me on. How's things?
Good, mate. Have you ever spoken to Paul? I know he's come as a little bit leprechaunish today, but it's the day for it.
It's the day.
I met him at. Do you remember meeting me in the New Yorker just after my last fight? Do you remember?
Yeah. Of course.
We were in the lift, I think. Yeah. What's happening? Happy St. Patrick's Day, Paul. You're looking good, son.
I'm just wearing the costume.
Isn't that a Scotland jersey, or is that?
It is. Yeah. You're blowing my spot. I got this when I fought in Glasgow years ago. Somebody gifted it to me, and I figured, you know what?
Yeah, just go with the Scotland team for the big day.
It's green. It's good enough.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you. As a Welshman, what's the vibe on St. Patrick's Day in Wales?
Everyone just gets pissed. Just Guinness. It's an excuse to get pissed. Everyone. I seen the Godfather, we call him Kent, and he's in Tenerife. His Khan is out there. He's like 60 odd. Full send in Tenerife. All got the Guinness hats on. Yeah, everyone just goes out for it, man.
It's not much different here, to be completely honest with you. I mean, I feel like the reason it's so big in the States is just an excuse for people to go and pound Jameson and drink Guinness.
Yeah, it's a drinking holiday, isn't it? Good though.
What's the patron saint of Wales? St. David?
St. David's Day, yeah. We don't do nothing for that, really.
I was going to say they don't do anything for that. St. George's Day, we don't do anything in England. And if you do, you're a far-right activist. If you hang a flag, you're racist,
We could open a can of worms with all that going on these days, man. We don't do nothing for that. Everyone just goes mad for St. Patrick's Day. I nearly put a picture on earlier from when I fought in Dublin, and I'm like doing that to the crowd. Like I was gonna do happy St. Patrick's Day, but I didn't even do one for St. David's Day, so I can't do that. But no one gives a really, do they?
Now, I will never tell someone to limit the swearing. When you can swear, but just don't F-bomb every 3 seconds, otherwise YouTube will kick us off. We don't care.
Is it the demonetizing thing? Is that what it is?
You hit the nail on the head, Oban. You're learning.
We're gonna have a problem there with the swearing, especially if I'm talking to you. I feel like it's normal.
No, you've got to do it, Oban. You've got to do it. You've got to be yourself. Speaking of yourself, having a terrific run in the UFC right now. What's the latest? Because I know you've been trying to get a fight.
Yeah, the latest is they told me I'd be out in May, but they said they're having trouble trying to lock the schedule down. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if you boys know any more about that. But they said they're targeting me for May. They're just waiting for the schedule to be finalized. But then. Knows. I did it. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what's happening at the minute. May, I imagine I'll be fighting. It's not going to be too much longer. They offered me Jake Matthews in February, but I was injured from the Basel fight, and I told them that they got me on record going to the hospital after the fight, and then. We told them, with the injury, we'll be good to go from about March. And then they come back with the fight the start of February. And I said, mate, I'm not, I only got back sparring at the end of January. So, and we're just waiting since then. So it's not like they haven't offered me one. I was injured at the time, and now I'm ready I'm chomping at the bit now. Do you know what I mean?
Is there anybody in particular, Oban, that you are looking at or that you've been talking about trying to get a fight with that would be around that time?
Yeah. For May?
Yeah.
If they told me I was fighting in April, it would be the same guys. But I think Brian Battle, me and him will be good.
I was going to say, I thought I saw a little bit of back and forth with you guys trying to arrange that on your own.
Me and him have spoke about that. I think that would be a good fight. I think other than that, I don't. To be honest, I don't really know anyone else in my position. I just know the boys in the ranking. So I think like Luke or someone like that. I know I'm ready for it. So, but the main one at the minute is Brian Battle. I think that's a. What do you think, boys? That's a good
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no,
matchup
no.
there, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, Oban. I mean, if you get the matchup with Brian Battle, it's going pretty quick. You know what I'm saying? Because Brian
Yeah.
Battle's got a pretty decent established name. He won the Ultimate Fighter. He's had some
Yeah.
really, really good performances as well. So you kind of like, because Basil Hafez, I mean, people know he's a tough son of a bitch. You beat him,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
so you're doing really good. And then you get Brian Battle, you get a win over him. And then you're fast tracking your UFC career as opposed to dicking around and fight. Don't get me wrong. You don't need a big name to be a hard fight, you know, but they're all tough guys. But when you're taking out high profile people like this, you're going to get a lot of attention on you. We know you've got the personality. You're the man with the biggest charms and the biggest arms or some shit. You Chael Sonnen wannabe. Jesus, Oban, but you're doing well.
No, come on. I'm more of a Bisping wannabe with all the foul language and the nonsense that goes with it. I'm not quite as sharp as Chael, but yeah. Look, and the thing is, when you say about the other, like I wouldn't even know who to call out who's there or thereabouts. Like I'll say it like it is. When they put Carlos Prates against Jeff Neal, I know Carlos Prates joined the UFC at the same time as me, so he's the only guy that I'm really aware of that that I think, you know, same amount of fight. I think he's had one more fight than me, you know, and then he got his fight booked. But you know, I'm not opposed to going up against anyone. You know what I mean? You must know. You know me by now, Mike. Paul, you know me from the elevator. I'm not sure you got the grips with it, but you know me by now. I'll fight anyone. So it doesn't really make a difference to me. I'm going to make it as big as I can, and I just don't think I'm going to. If I was going to struggle, I would have by now. Do you know what I mean? They're going to get bigger and tougher, but there's only so many moves, boys. There's only so much you can learn in this sport. And if I haven't seen it by now, where I've been blown out of the water, no, I've trained with the top guys. I took it upon myself at the start of this year to test myself in sparring against, you know, killers, and I'm ready for. If it's a step up or whatever he is, Brian Battle, if that's a good fight, we could do a good job selling it. Yeah, I'm just eager to go again.
I think that's such a good matchup for a guy in your position, like you're saying too, where of the guys that are still, I don't want to say newcomers, but on their way up and people are starting to recognize you in the division, he's got the same path, right? So I think oftentimes it's great to see when you got two guys that have had a lot of success so far, but haven't really hit that fight where you get a guy in the top 15, top 12, top 10 to be able to establish yourself. I think the two of you pitted against each other, and the winner is the guy that gets to get on that mic and start calling for the guys that have a higher ranking name. And he's a guy that brings it like you. You know what I mean? You want guys like that. You know what I mean, Oban? At this point in your career, you want the guys that are going to try to bring the best out of you so that you can show them, listen, I need to get past these guys. I need to be fighting these guys in the top 15 because I'm going to be hurting people. So
100%. And I think they're all tough, right? But like I said, there's nothing I don't know in this game. Like, you know, and there's nothing. Of course, I haven't figured it all out at this stage, but I'm gonna keep getting better along the way. And like I proved in my last fight, and all my fights last year, I did well. And I can keep the ball rolling, you know.
So Oban, let me ask you here, and this isn't me giving shit, okay?
Go on.
A lot of people watching or hearing what you said there would say, dude, this guy's out of his mind. He's pretty new to mixed martial arts. We're always learning. It's like, you know, when you become a black belt, that's only when you really start to learn. That's like an old traditional martial arts saying. I think I understand what you're saying, though. You're saying that you've seen all the styles. You know, what's the guy going to do? Hit you with some flying reverse triangle or something? Yeah. You know, ultimately, it's all the same. It's all the same game. Someone's going to try and take you down. They're going to try and knock you out. They're going to throw a head kick, a left hook, a right hook to try and submit you on the ground. I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying I've got it all figured out by any means. I'm just saying, like, from what I can see and the training I'm putting in, the fights I've already had, and I'm confident that I can. Like what I'm trying to say is, I'm not like scared of this next step. Like next step. There's only so many. Like they're all world class fighters. Like what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to like when you say the guys on the way up that they might not be known about. I'm trying to say like those boys on the way up that aren't ranked like myself. Like there's not much of a gap between us and the guys at the very top. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So and it's all about at this point who's going to go out there. And who's gonna perform? Who's gonna take their opportunity with both hands? They're not gonna freeze under the lights. And like I've had 3 massive pay-per-views in a row. If I was gonna freeze, if I was gonna be dazzled by the occasion, I would have by now. And I'm in a very good place mentally with it all, and I'm not intimidated by the UFC anymore. Like I spoke to you, Bisping, like I said, like that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say.
Of course, and I was just allowing you to clarify. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And what are you thinking of the state of the division right now? If there was guys in the top 15 that, God forbid, you could just pick your matchup right now, right? You can pick who you're going to fight in May, potentially. If you had your opportunity, obviously you want the champions, you want the top 5 guys, but is there anybody in that low-hanging 14, 15, 13 area? Does anybody stick out to you? You mentioned Luque. Is there anybody else as well that you're like, I'd love to get a chance to fight that dude? I could kick his ass.
Yeah. But that's Luque's. But I'd have to go over the list again. I can't think who's just above him. I don't know off by heart. But
what do you think about Prates? You talked about Prates and Jeff Neal fighting. How do you think you match up against those guys?
Well, look, they're excellent fighters. I just think I could beat them both.
Yeah,
and I think I could beat them both. And if I'm proven wrong, I'll be proven wrong in front of the world, in the cage. But I think like Prates is a dangerous, electric striker, and I feel like we haven't even seen what he can do. His fight's been so dominant. But I think I got the beating of most of them, and I get the opportunity to go and prove it rather than being in cage where I was thinking, I could beat these guys in the UFC. I'm in the UFC now. I get to go and do it. I'm in the UFC now. I'm on big platforms like the Believe You Me podcast, and I get the chance to call. And I get the chance to call my shot. I'm not just going to say, I'll fight whoever they put in front of me. There's guys, there's names, there's numbers, and I'm going to go for it because I believe in myself. You know what I mean? So
and that's how you should be, Oban. You really should be that, and you got to believe in yourself. You don't just want to come here and just be another guy that had a few fights and maybe, on the prelims and stuff. No, you want to come here, you want to set your stall out, you want to believe in yourself, say, hey, I'm here to be a champion. And you got to back that up vocally. You got to talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk as well. And you're doing that so far. Let me ask you this, though. 3 big pay-per-views. Was there a little part of you, because you're not competing this weekend at the O2 Arena in London, was there a little bit of disappointment there?
Yeah, there was, because I wanted that UK crowd. You know what I mean? And funnily enough, I was thinking of you earlier. Like, I know they say pay-per-views are, and this one's a fight now. But then I remember watching you fight Anderson, and I know that fight is like it's different. That's an insanely big fight. But whether it was a fight night pay-per-view, being in front of that crowd is like, I'm gutted I'm not doing it. I'm gutted. I really am gutted. I'm not fighting on that. But hey, it is what it is. I don't know what they got planned for me. I don't know why they didn't put me on it. But we'll have to see what hopefully they're cooking up something good for me, and I'll be ready to take the chance.
Well, that being said, with it being in that division for the main event, what are you thinking about Sean Brady and Leon headlining that one this weekend? Yeah,
it's a headline worthy fight. I think that with Sean Brady, like I haven't even seen that much of him. I know Leon, obviously I've trained with Leon a couple of times. I think after Leon's last fight, he's got like a big point to prove within himself more than anything. Like he he cares what the fans think. Like he's gonna go out there, and I think he's gonna be the best he's ever been on Saturday. And fair play to Sean Brady taking this short notice, because he did, didn't he? Unless he was on reserve, I don't know. But I think Leon Leon is he's not going anywhere yet. I don't think. I think he's gonna handle this one and go back for the belt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because we always say it, or I always say it, as fighters, you don't get two peaks. Once you go up, you're at the top for a while, and then you start to come down, and you don't really get a second peak. I don't think this is necessarily Leon Edwards coming down off his peak. I just think Bilal Muhammad showed up on that night, was the better man. Leon's still only 31 years old. Bilal was a monster on that night, and he was just a tough matchup for him. You know what I'm saying? And maybe because he was the champ and he was getting away with being a little bit more reserved with his output, maybe that bit him in the ass. I don't think Leon slowed down. I don't think he's resting on his laurels or sleeping in silk sheets or whatever cliche terms you want to use. He just got beat on the night. And I think he's going to come back with an absolute bang on Saturday night. We can't make a prediction. But you said you train with Leon. How did the training sessions go? I know you don't tap and tell. You don't talk shit when you're sparring. No. But who would win in a fight between Leon Edwards and Oban Elliott?
Look, I haven't had... when did I last properly spar him? It was years ago.
I was joking, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know. But he's so good. He's so like, how do you say, happy to help. Like as soon as he'll break techniques that I remember the first time I ever trained with him. I was like 3-0 in Cage Warriors, and we sparred, and then I said, and he said, great job, and then we broke down a technique that he was smoking me with, and he was like, yeah, I was doing this. Do you know what I mean? He, like, really great guy.
That's nice.
And really great guy. And I remember him saying like, you're always welcome. You know, if it's your gym, if it's our gym, it's your gym. He said something to that effect. Very great guy. And I think, like you say, he just got beat on the night. Bilal fought really well, and it's people think like, you lose. It's not boxing. You know, there's a lot of ways to win, and you know, he lost. Who cares? Who really cares? He's just going to bounce straight back, and he's just going to get back on the horse. I think. Yeah, Leon is. He's nowhere near done. Can't believe people even saying it.
I can't believe he's only 31, right? I mean, he's been around for a long time since he was pretty young in the UFC.
Yeah.
You think like, you know, you've been the champ, you lost the belt. It's like, man, 31 years old, you're still right in your prime as a fighter, right? I feel like that's when you really, when you're in your late 20s, early to right before mid 30s is when you're just at that cusp. And then 35, we start.
Do you think it goes down then, boys? Do you think it gets, does it get that much harder?
It all depends.
35, 36, I think there's just a small bit of that same. And you know what? I don't even know if it's physically, but for me noticing it, I think just mentally, right? When you've been in the game a while and you've had a bunch of battles, for me, it just started like thinking about training camps and thinking about like I started getting almost overwhelmed with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because I a big not to stay up your ass, Mike, but a big inspiration for me was when I was watching. I remember I watched you knock out Luke. You were 37, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
You were 37. I remember thinking to myself, because I've been a fan of the sport for so long, and I remember thinking, and I still think now, I think like I want to do this till I'm 40. I'll go out flat on my face before, and I don't think I'll struggle. I'd like to think anyway. That's why I'm asking you boys. I don't know that. I don't think into my late 30s, like my dad, when he was just obviously he died when I was a kid, but he was. I just remember him being in phenomenal shape into his late 30s. He died when he was 42, but he was like you know what I mean, a freak in nature. So I like to think. I hope I'm still doing it, and I'm in shape when I'm in my late 30s and onwards. You know.
As long as it's here, Oban, as long as you keep that sharp, man, I think that the physical will follow it if you stay in shape.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the issue for me. Like I'm still in fantastic shape. It's just the grind of going away.
I see.
It's kind of a gift and a curse, because on one side, the mental aspect of it all, the technical, the strategy, the dealing with the nerves and all that type of stuff, that just keeps improving and getting better and better. But on the other side, you know, you've had a long career, you get injuries, you might have a couple of surgeries along the way. Your body's not quite as fast. The strength is never an issue, but, you know, the reflexes start to go. If you've had a tough career along the way, maybe you've been knocked out a few times, you have a few knee surgeries, you might have a little elbow surgery along the way because the training camps are grinding on you. So it's that side as well. You know what I'm saying? You're fit as a butcher's dog, 27 years old in the prime of your goddamn life. You put 10 years of not just the fights, the training camps, man. 10 years of that shit on you, that's what starts to age you. It's not necessary.
Right.
And that's why, Oban, speaking to you here, that's why I always say to people, because people, young fighters are always like, give me some advice. And it's always boring stuff. And it's like, you got to look after your body, because you do feel like you're invincible, and it's not going to apply to you, but it does catch you up. You have got to do the recovery protocol. You have got to do the stretching and all that type of stuff. Because I used to finish and have my protein.
I hate it. I hated it.
I was out the door, have my food, have a nap, stretch, kiss my ass.
I was
You've got to do all that shit, man. You do.
Like
you do,
and I like you saying, my last 3 fights, obviously, it's my last 3 fights. Honestly, the injuries are crazy. I had crazy injuries, and like I felt like I got through last year through the skin of my teeth, and I was the opportunities I was given, I didn't want to turn them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then coming into the end of the year, like when you're saying like look after your body and that, I remember when they offered me the fight with Jake Massey. I remember thinking, where I am, this would be like, I did it. I know I did it. And nothing. It's easy. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But then again, I was like, right, I'm not invincible. I'm beat up here. I've got some issues I need to fix. I won't go into them. And that's why, like, I tried to get myself fit to start this year to make this smart. Year as good, if not better, as last. That's what I wanted to do. I don't want to just be stupid. I'll be all right. Because then when you're not, you're like, why did I do that?
Then you lose that fight because you're just not 100%. And then everyone's like, oh, wow, this guy was all high. But right. And it's just all the
it's all well and good. And then it's all well and good me saying, I was this, I was that. Like, nobody cares, do they? Yeah. Nobody cares. So, yeah.
Oban, let me ask you, are you a family man? Or are you young, free and single? What's the situation now?
I've got a girlfriend.
Okay.
I've got a girlfriend. Yeah.
Good. Because I was just going to say, that's a hell of a jawline, man. Look at that jaw. look at that jaw, man. I'm like, come on. You can knock me.
Thank you, brother.
I'm like,
thank you, brother.
Jesus Christ. I'm like, if you were single, I wanted to, man. Maybe it's the camera angle or something, but you got a proper desperate Dan jaw on you there.
No, thank you, brother.
Handsome bastard, 27 years old, competing in the UFC, good talker. No. I'm like, you are killing it right now.
Thank you, brother. No, I want to. No, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm
committed.
I don't. And I feel like I just said, like I get to got myself to this position I'm in. Like you say, look at this. I could prance around and be a prick if I wanted, but nah, just keep my head on it. This is, this is why, that isn't why I got into it. I know I was a good looking guy. Always. Never mind just the UFC. So, just nah.
Well, you know what? I remember, and this is it relates to what you said, and I wish you'd have said it to me sooner, and I wish I could tell my older self this, because what you just said there is absolutely perfect, and it's absolutely bang on. But I remember I signed with the UFC. I won the Ultimate Fighter in 2006, and I was making good money. And my life had completely changed. I wasn't working in factories anymore. And, I was like, I had no money troubles. I was famous, if you will, which is wanker of a term.
You're the man.
It's a wanker of a term, but let's just be honest. And, and I was enjoying myself too much in between fights. And I remember, I would work my ass off. But then after a fight, I'd just like be on the booze with the lads.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And not in the gym.
I've done it.
And I remember,
I've done it.
And I remember Joe Silver, Paul. Joe Silver, it was at a weigh-in. It was a weigh-in, I think it was Germany or somewhere like that. And Joe Silver pulled me to one side and he had a real chat with me. Like, and I perceived it at the time like he was like kind of telling me off. But looking back now, he was giving me some really, really good advice. He's like, Michael, because I was in Germany and I'd been out with my buddy the night before and I was hungover to the max and I'm at the weigh-ins and I'm all puffy and I've got no voice and I'm like, and my belly was popping out a little bit. And he's like, Michael, look, listen, I just want to tell you something. You've got a real opportunity here to make some really, really good life-changing money, change your life forever. He said, but I'm looking at you right now, and you seem like you're burning both ends of both ends of the candle.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I got all defensive and stuff. I'm like, well, I'm in Germany with my friends, and I'm going to enjoy myself. But he was giving me advice, and he was absolutely right, because I wish I had done it a little bit differently. So to hear you say that, Oban, yeah, I mean, good for you, man. You've got your head screwed on.
And it's crazy you say this, because the person who gave me the advice was you, and I don't think you said it directly to me. I remember you saying, did you say it to me, or did I listen to a podcast you did? Well, you said, if you could go back and change anything, he's, I wouldn't drink as much or something. And like all my friends, they love a drink, and I'm just like, the crack. I don't know what it's like. Where are you from, Paul? Are you from Boston? Are you from Ireland? Where are you from? Is it Scotland? What's going on here? No.
Hey,
But is it like that where you go on?
Yeah, I'm from Philadelphia, so it's the same.
So it's
thing
the same.
here, man.
Yeah. Everyone's on.
Dude,
everyone's drinking.
All the same shit you and Michael are talking about. I'd win a fight, and it would be the same thing. We'd all just want to go on a tour of celebrating. You know what I mean?
And honestly, like I just, if like now, funnily enough, there was one thing I did think I would say, but it hasn't come up, but now it's come up. Like, this is the first time where I haven't got a fight booked. I'm 27. Like you say, if I could go out with the boys, like my whole life, I've been in and out of camp trying to make the most of socializing. But I've kind of sat back, especially like after Christmas, after my last fight, and how amazing I was. I've realized like the joys I'm getting out of life isn't in the pub with the boys. Like what I want out of life is like, it needs more discipline, and it's not to say I've not been disciplined, because I am disciplined, but in between fights I go out with the boys. But I think I'm even done with that now for the time being, because I genuinely believe, and I hand on heart believe, I can go all the way. And every time, like what do I want to be sinking pints for, eating shit all the time? Like I can do it. I know I can do it. So I feel like it's a disrespect to myself, the people who believe in me. Like it's disrespectful to the platforms I'm being putting on. It's like, look at me, I jump on this podcast with two legends of the game. Boy, do you want to go out for a pint? Like, nah, I'm on a mission now. I've got this far, and I'm not tarnishing and shooting myself in the foot just because I want to be a prick for a weekend and go out on the piss. Nah, I'm done with it. You know what I mean?
There's a time and a place. You can enjoy yourself a little bit here and there. You don't have to live like a monk, but most of the time you got to live the life, because if you don't live the life, it's going to bite you in the ass. And the way it bites you in the ass here is that you get embarrassed on a world stage. You get knocked out cold in the middle of the octagon. You lose your hopes and dreams. You didn't get that title fight. You didn't become the world champion. And then you go home, and never mind sitting with the lads. You're sitting by yourself, led in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking, shit.
And that won't be
what
me,
have I done? I had this massive opportunity, and I blew it because I got sucked back into that lifestyle of just being a deadbeat. Let's be honest. Never. Like after a fight, like you say, time and a place. I was in New York. Oh, brilliant! I've been with the boys, whiskey, salute. Come home, see everyone. Christmas time, my birthday. But then turn of the year, lock in, and I'm locked in. And after my next fight, I'll have a few beers. Damn right, I will. You know what I mean? But until then,
Yeah, save it for the moments where it's really going to matter. Like you're talking about celebrating after fight, holiday time with the family. But like, it's a random Saturday in the middle of like February, and you're trying to get back into a training camp that you don't have a fight yet. But it's moments like that. Like, okay, Monday rolls around, and for me, that used to be sparring. Well, if I was out drinking on Sunday night and I didn't have a fight, but I still wanted to go sparring, well, I'm going to spar like shit the next day. And then it's a spiral, right? If you're at least dialed in for the moments that matter and just staying in training, because some of these guys too, dude, and I think it's changing as the sport's evolving and you guys are getting more disciplined. But back in the day, like, dude, fighters would just barely be in camp until it was,
it's old
I got
school.
a fight book. I got 8 weeks.
Yeah,
it's
jump
like,
in.
We should have been in shape already.
Nah, like you say, I'm not living like a monk, but I'm 27 years old. I'm in a position that I've always dreamed of, and now I'm like, now is not the time for. I don't need to. I've already celebrated my last win, but we're locked in. I feel fight ready to go at the drop of a hat. So
are you going to be at UFC London?
I am. Yes, I am.
With all that said, with all of that said and all that discipline, if me and Felder shoot you a text and we're at the Parker Arms across the street and we're having a couple of beers, are you going to blow us off? Or are you going to say, no, I'm running sprints in the morning, Mike?
No,
I can't do it.
I won't blow you off. I won't
Ah!
blow you off. No, I won't blow you off.
These are the moments we're talking about, right? These are the moments we're talking about.
Yes. Come on. Was that a question? Come on. Of course.
Mate,
And don't worry, I won't be wearing this when I show up.
No, you look good. No, don't worry about it. You look good. It suits the beard. It's good.
No, we've got to keep it professional anyway. I've got a busy week and I need my voice for Saturday. But after the fights, though, there's a little private party for UFC employees and stuff. Level 1 in the hotel. Oban,
okay.
We will see you there.
Right.
Harrington, did you have a question for Oban before he leaves us?
Well, yeah, I had a question specifically about your last fight and celebrating it. It was your first time getting the 50K bonus, following the first finish in the UFC against Basil Hafez. I just wanted to know that extra 50 grand you weren't counting on in the bank account. What's the first thing you did with that?
I bolted it into a savings account and I'm just trying to tie it up. I've been skint all my life and I have nightmares of waking up and thinking, I'm skint again. So I'm just I'm super tight with money. I don't want to mess any of it up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm clever with it.
I know exactly what you're talking about because my whole, even still now, I'm kind of terrified of going back to how life used to be. And it's weird, Paul, because I'm 46 now. And I'm like, well, I haven't got too much longer. Like where I can't f it up. Because I get to a certain point in my life, I've got enough now and I'm good. I'm like, well, I almost want my life to speed up a bit. So it's like, so I can't f it up. You know what I mean?
You're still worried you're going to do it.
You know what I mean? It's like, if I was in my 30s, but I remember I started getting bonuses from the UFC and I went to pay them into the bank. Small little town, and people and certainly I wasn't paying in checks for like 150,000 and stuff like that. Yeah. And the bank manager pulled me to one side. Well, it wasn't 150, it was £75,000 is what I got on top of my fight purse. And
nice.
Yeah. And he wanted me to put it in a high interest savings account. And my house at the time, we bought it for £48,000, obviously back in the day. Three bedroom terrace house, nice area, quiet little village, beautiful little house. Nice. Actually, we still got it. 48,500. And he says, right, put this in this savings account. And we worked it out. And over 5 years, 10 years, you made nothing. You made nothing on it. And I said, no, I want to pay my mortgage off. And he tried to do everything he could to talk me out of paying off that mortgage, right? And so I got a calculator out and I worked it out. I said, well, if I pay off my mortgage here, I'm going to save about 30,000 in interest payments. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that'd be pretty smart. I went, yeah, dickhead, pay the mortgage off.
Thanks,
so anyway,
that's right.
Yeah, so be smart with your money, old man.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I don't want to be. I just can't. Like growing up. My brother. I remember it was me and my brother. We were into fighting, and it turns out like it just wasn't for him. He didn't want to do it the same way I wanted to do it. But I couldn't live with I had this fear even before I'd even had an MMA fight. I was thinking if I ever give up on this, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be 20 years down the line just thinking, I wish I'm scared of having regrets for anything. That's just kind of how my mind works. And when it comes to like the money I've made already and the position I'm in now, I'm just terrified of it all going away. And that's what I guess that keeps me on my toes with it all, And I want to be on the ball.
That's exactly what it does. Yeah, no, and use that, harness that, and use that to fuel you. Right, listen, we're going to have to say goodbye, Oban. We've got Volkanovski on in a little bit. No. We'll see you down in London. Shoot me a text, buddy.
Oh, yeah, of course. Are you both going to be there? Are you both going to be there? Yes. Okay. Yes, boys. Well, I'll see you Saturday then, 100%.
We'll see you there, mate, and maybe we'll talk you into a cheeky pint afterwards. But Oban, always appreciate talking to you. Always appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Likewise, mate. Thank you.
Hey, see you, Oban. All the best, buddy.
See you later, boys. See you later.
Cheers, mate. There he is, the Welsh gangster. Of course, we've got Alexander Volkanovski jumping on in just a second, but let's get Mike Harrington on. Hopefully he's not muted. Are you muted, Harrington?
Not muted. I'm good to go, boys.
What's going on?
I got another guy who's not muted. Nate Diaz. He says he wants to make his return eventually to challenge for a UFC belt. Here's the quote: "Everybody's boring right now, so I'm trying to do
No. Do it in a Nate Diaz accent.
Everybody's boring now, so I'm trying to do other shit for the moment. But like, I want to get back to the UFC, get a UFC title, right? I don't want to fight for nothing, you know. I want to fight for something. It's about buzz, like who's popping, who's doing something. Right now, ain't nobody doing shit in the UFC.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad, Harrington. I'll say that. It's not bad.
What do you make of that, Paul?
Well, I mean, it's Nate Diaz being Nate Diaz, right? I mean, that's kind of always all he's been talking about is that everybody's boring, nobody's a star, and I see where he's coming from. But the thing is, it's like I love, and I want to preface this with, I actually love me some Nate Diaz. I have nothing but respect for Nate Diaz. He's an OG, but like you're not winning fights either. You're not going outside of the UFC and like dusting dudes up. At least Jeremy Stevens, for example, right? He's out of the UFC. He's smacking up dudes that are still pretty relevant, like Eddie Alvarez, and breaking jaws and making noise. Whereas Nate, I feel like the persona is bigger than the fighter at this point. Am I correct in thinking that? And again, I like Nate Diaz, and I think he's just doing what's best for Nate Diaz and Nate Diaz business. And I can't hate on him for it, but come on, man. Like, are they really interested in bringing you back for a title fight? I don't think so. Honestly, I got to be real with it, and I just think it's him grasping at straws, right? Trying to get something to happen that's not really even being proposed.
Or as Tito Ortiz would say, he's grasping for those grapes, and those grapes are starting to
Dude, he's
like
such
wine.
an idiot. He would say some of the dumbest. Do you ever see the mic drop one where he threw the mic up? Tried to do a mic drop and hit him in the head.
Oh, I don't know what it is. My algorithm keeps sending me Tito Ortiz clips, and on every single one, they are hilarious. And then on every one, there's a comment from Dana underneath it. My boy, with like 5 exclamation marks. No, going back to Nate Diaz. Look, listen, he's that's what you're supposed to say. That's what Paddy Pimblett does. He's talking shit about everybody, right? Paddy Pimblett's got a big fight with Michael Chandler, but he's talked shit along the way. So you can't hate on Nate Diaz. And I've made my point about Nate many times. Yeah, he's an OG. Yes, he is gangster. Yes, he will show up. Yes, he is a tough fight for anybody. But the reality is right now, and I understand his point, what he's saying, they're all lame and they're all this and that. That's what he's supposed to say. As a fighter, he's not going to go out there and go, wow, everyone's, you just don't say that. The problem is for Nate Diaz is that ever since he beat Conor McGregor, he went into another level of superstardom, and his paychecks are gigantic. I don't know what they are, but I do know he gets paid very handsomely. I don't think, because he rolled the dice by boxing Jake Paul, and he lost to Jake Paul. I really feel that would have massively, and maybe I'm wrong, that has damaged his negotiating power. And I can't imagine that the UFC, and again, this is not me speaking to Dana or Hunter or anyone like that, but you go out there, you get beat by Jake Paul, who has this kind of, all right, he's okay at boxing, and he's boxing Mike Tyson and stuff like that. But you got beat fair and square. You got dropped. You're not going to come back and command multi-million-dollar paychecks from the UFC when your stock just got hurt so badly. I think that's probably why he's not in the UFC.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the UFC, if you go out there and you take out Jake Paul, it's a totally different ball game, right? Because you're doing them a favor too. This is a guy that's kind of been just chirping and taking these guys that are former fighters and beating them up at, in the boxing ring and fighting Mike Tyson, who's 60 years old, and doing all this stuff. You didn't beat that guy. If you had beaten that guy, then you could start talking all the shit you want, and you probably can come back and make some big paydays. But things didn't work out that way, and I understand it. I get it. It wasn't MMA. You didn't fight him in the octagon. You fought him in a boxing ring. He's a much bigger guy, but it didn't go your way, and you kind of put all your eggs in that basket for that to work out. And hopefully you got paid big for that, because again, it's not going to help your leverage with coming back to the company and getting title fights against I mean, like, what weight class? Welterweight? Like, who's he beating? Who's he beating at welterweight?
It's going to be welterweight. I don't think 155.
And who?
is on, yeah.
Right. I mean, look who's fighting this weekend. Sean and Leon. We already saw how it went with Leon.
We fought Leon, and again, and this is the thing, because Nate Diaz, he is tough, and he didn't get finished, and he did have that big moment in the 5th round where he wobbled him, and then he pointed at him, and that's like gives it, he played around a little bit, but yeah, I don't think he's going to come back and fight for the belt. But that said, he does have a following. And I think, just looking at the flip side of it, if Nate Diaz was to come back, there would be a lot of buzz about it, and he could be involved in some big fights. I assume that he got paid very handsomely for the Jake Paul fight. Again, probably somewhere in the millions of dollars. I know he got millions of dollars for his last few fights in the UFC. I don't know that, but I think that, and he's probably wants more now. And I just don't think he's going to get that. Saying that everyone sucks in the UFC, that's a narrative. Everyone's going, there's no stars.
Right, but stars, just because there's no stars doesn't mean there's dudes that won't absolutely whip your ass. Do you know what I mean? Like, their personality might not make them mega stars, but there are plenty of talented guys in the UFC, whether you think they're a star or not right now.
Oban Elliott could be a superstar one day. Yeah. That's for damn sure. And he's in his weight class. Mike Harrington couldn't help but notice that you're on screen.
I am on screen. Well, you guys were talking about, fighters with big followings. So I wanted to jump in with this. There was a run-in between Paddy Pimblett and Colby Covington at the PI. According to Paddy says he walked by. Colby Covington was staring at the floor. Says he talks a lot of shite online, but he craps his undies in person.
Yeah, dude, I want to start with this one. I forget who I was talking. It might have been Dean Thomas. We were talking about it recently, where there was also an encounter with Kamaru Usman that when Kamaru walked by Colby and he was just nothing but respectful. I think that his persona is fading. Do you know what I mean? I think he's struggling to keep up that MAGA, Mr. America, bully from college persona these days. I think he's kind of, even himself is just struggling to get through it, because the real issue is, and Patty's right, he is quiet in person, because the real situation is he has nothing really against you, Patty. He really doesn't actually want to talk shit to you. He doesn't really want to talk shit to most of these guys. He's only doing it so that he can keep himself relevant. And I think when he's finally retired, he'll be the first to admit to you that it was all complete bullshit. 100%. And I think now at late 30s, towards the end of his career, he's just kind of even struggling to keep the same face with that bullshit. Dude, and that's the problem with that type of personality, right? When it's not genuine, because it's not with Colby. Yeah. Because I've hung out with that guy for an extended period of time. And he's not like that.
And he was very pleasant. He was very well-mannered, very well-spoken. He wasn't rude to anybody. I've spoke about it on here. I saw him at the airport, and I was watching him in the lounge, just the way he was interacting with people. He was like, super nice. He would be like, let's just say he was acting or behaving as if President Trump was in the room and he wanted to make a good impression. He was super well-mannered and cordial and standing up and shaking people's hands and stuff like that. Because I was just sitting by myself, having my airport drink pre-fight and just like keeping one eye, because I've only got one, on him. I was just kind of observing it, you know what I mean? And he was like somebody's mother would be happy if their daughter was dating that guy. That's how he was conducting
himself. Which is crazy, because he plays the total opposite of that in his.
But remember, he was on the verge of getting cut, and I think it's when he fought Damian Maia in Brazil. And I think he wasn't on the verge. I think he was told he was going to get cut. Then he cuts that crazy promo, calls everyone filthy pieces of garbage or rats or whatever he said in Brazil, and gets another contract and then reinvents himself. To your point, it's one thing saying all that stuff on a microphone, like Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen's a quiet dude, man. I work with him here and there on ESPN. I've been around him. I've fought him, for crying out loud. He's not loud and obnoxious and annoying. He's very quiet, and he's just looking at his phone. He's got his glasses on. But then it cuts to him, and he's like, okay, and he's got something crazy to say, you know?
He's created a persona.
Because Like for Colby, just going back to Harrington's point, when you're like that, I mean, if you truly are that character, I mean, I kind of used to be a bit like that. It's an exhausting way to live your life. You know what I mean? It's like if you're a bully at school. Like I would always tell my children, my boys, not my daughter, my boys, like if someone's bullying you, you've got to stand up to them, because the reality is they don't want to have to roll around the floor with you and actually get into a fight. Yeah. And if you prove you're not that guy and you're not going to tolerate it, they'll leave you alone. If Colby or anyone's living their life like that, anytime they see anyone at the PI, at the Apex, you're going to be starting trouble. You're not going to get invited. You're not going to get tickets. People aren't going to want you around because you're just drama. And everywhere you go, drama and chaos follows you. So it's just a goddamn persona. So I'm not surprised that Paddy Pimblett says that. And of course, from Paddy, he's gonna evaluate that and speculate what it means to him in his own mind. Oh, he looked at the floor. He didn't say anything. Oh, he's a piece of shit. He's scared of me. I don't think that's the case at all. He's like, I haven't got beef with Paddy. I'm not going to talk shit for the sake of it.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're right. And that's the problem with, again, now it's towards the end of that. And man, it's just got to be a rough way to make a living like that. I kind of, in a weird way, and people might give me shit for this, but I kind of feel bad for Colby because, dude, I'm the one, like when I hung out with him, I was the one that was a mess. We were on this military base years ago in Virginia, and this dude that was he was no longer part of the military, but he somehow still works for the government, and he kind of helps bring fighters in and is part of that, the whole experience for the military service to be able to hang with us, watch fights with us. Anyway, it was the last night, and we were just feeding ourselves whiskey. We got a bunch of Gentleman Jack. We were just smashing. My manager was actually filming me eating a Kit Kat, and I got all pissed off. Blackout, run up to my room. I'm so mad at everybody. I ended up like slamming the toilet seat wrong. Water starts spraying everywhere. They think I'm flipping out. They start to call military police. They're going to send military police to my room. So Brian Butler, my manager, and Colby Covington, of all people, come up to my room to try to calm me down. Colby doesn't say a word. He just stands in the back to make sure everything's figured out. If he was that guy, it would have been a perfect opportunity for him to be that guy and be a tough guy. But instead, he just made sure I wasn't going to be an asshole. And once he realized I was just drunk and like blowing off steam, he calmed down. So like that whole weekend, if anybody was the a-hole, it was me, not Colby Covington. And he could have been. And it was right before the Damian Maia fight that we did that military tour. So I think it was after that. He was like, you know what? If I'm going to make a noise and I'm going to make money in the UFC, I've got to create this persona. And unfortunately, it was one that a lot of people hate it and has to live with that.
We've all been there, though, Paul. I have been that guy. We've all been that guy many times.
I got lucky that weekend, by the way, Michael. I could have been locked up on a military base there.
On a military base, that's the last place you want to be, in military prison. Harrington's on a roll, so I say we give him control. Harrington, give us another story. That was good.
Good.
Well, in that same vein, talking about the Paddy fight, Mauricio Rufy, one of the fighting nerds, just picked up a big knockout win last weekend. He says he's available on short notice and would like to get the call if anyone falls out of the Chandler versus Paddy fight.
Oh, I like that. Enough? Oh, yeah. I mean, fuck, that kid is a stud, dude. That kid is a stud. I mean, and I like that. I don't even know if that's going to happen, but I like that these guys are smart enough to just be putting that out there, right? Putting their names into these hats, specifically with certain names and guys. Okay, so either one of them falls out, you're fighting somebody with a massive name in the UFC already. It doesn't matter which way it goes, whether it's Paddy that has to pull out or Chandler that has to pull out. But regardless, you get yourself right into the mix, and I think deservedly so. He's had nothing but big wins in the UFC so far. I mean, the fight before the last one, he couldn't put that kid away, but you can tell that's one of those kids. He missed weight too, by the way, in that fight. I forget the guy's name. I think he ended up getting cut. Maybe he had one more fight recently.
Was it Young Top? James Young Top?
He just fought again, right?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, because you got to think this: Paddy versus Chandler, co-main event on a pay-per-view. So he's probably one of those fights that the UFC would kind of half in the back of their mind be looking at a backup. We know generally now. the title fights, they have backups for the most part. I don't know if that's a hard and fast rule. What do you know about that, Paul? Do they do that?
I don't think it is.
Yeah,
I don't think it is for every single fight. I don't think they do have like a set rule. It's just, I guess, specifically if it's one that they're really or there's a really true number, like backup that could also have been fighting, and they can convince them, like, look, something may go wrong. Just in case, we'll put you there. We'll pay you well, like Tom Aspinall for Stipe and Jones. You want to have somebody for that type of fight. It's a mega fight, and it's almost even bigger if somebody falls out, right? You know what I mean? It's almost like if Stipe had to pull out of that fight and suddenly Tom had to slide in there and fight John Jones, I almost could argue that becomes an even bigger fight if that had happened back in November.
Because I went out to dinner with Tom that week, and we were like, listen, Tom, you're not fighting this weekend. And there's even a video of it on my YouTube channel, because we ordered some cake afterwards. We went for a nice steak. Beauty in Essex. You ever been there?
No.
In New York? Oh, great restaurant. Anyway, so we got this big old piece of cake. I'm like, Tom, just have a bit. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm like, for one, you're not fighting. For two, you're heavyweight. You're heavyweight. Just taste the bloody cake. And he's like, no, I want to keep it professional. And I wanted to.
You gotta love that, though. You gotta love that.
No, Tom is very disciplined. Going back to Oban Elliott's conversation, but he said, "Yeah, no, I'm getting paid to weigh in." And I wanted to ask. I'm like, "Go on, what are they giving you?" But I thought
would love to know what you get for that situation. Yeah, because you're getting paid something just to even be there and make weight, which isn't hard at 265. But
also with that comes the pressure. You know, it's like,
the
okay,
anxiety,
so.
Man.
Do I train my ass off? All these guys that train to be the backup. I mean, you're never going to train
so
properly,
tough, bro.
You know, or maybe you do for nothing.
Tough. You know what? The only thing I can associate it with, and people are going to laugh at this. Okay, you're an actor now, Michael.
Oh,
the only thing I can associate it with, and you don't have this in film. There is no understudy, right? But in theater, there is quite literally understudies for major productions that have a lot of money involved in them. And sometimes it's even set up so much that the understudy will go on for certain performances, especially if a star or somebody from Hollywood is in a play. There might be certain performances where you're expected to go on, but not all the time. I had to be an understudy one time at the Walnut Street Theater years and years ago for Streetcar Named Desire. Do you know the movie / play Brando movie where he played?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it, yeah.
Oh, bro, you got to watch that one. But anyway, I was playing Stanley in Streetcar as an understudy. Never even got to go on. But I had to know all the lines. I had to know all the blocking. But again, did I know the lines as well as the guy that was playing the part? Not really.
Yeah, but in your quest to become an actor, that was very beneficial. Because I always say this, because and again, people don't want to hear me going on about acting stuff, but anytime I get an audition, I always apply myself to it, and I really try and understand the scene, and I try and do the best part possible. And my wife's always like, that was, because most of the time you don't get the part, she's like, there's a lot of time you're wasting here. And I'm like, well, no, because I look at it as like an acting lesson. You know what I mean? It's like, it's applying the little bit of knowledge that I have in this world and making it a little bit
practice,
better.
Man. It's practice.
Speaking of
every audition is you go into an acting class basically for yourself, right? I mean, every chance you get to kind of pin down a part or figure out a small little bit of a scene and apply yourself is only going to benefit you in the future for all that stuff. I mean, what do you think we did when I went to school for it? And all we did was scene work. I mean, when we're in class, we would do monologues, but really it was all about developing how can you create this snippet into a believable character. And that's all auditions are. And really the shit part about auditions is it takes them 5 seconds to 10 seconds to know whether you are right for the part or not right for the part. And half of the time, that has absolutely nothing to do with your acting chops. I can look at you right now if I'm a director and you start speaking and I go, no.
Yeah, no. And that's always my issue.
Too big, or he's too small, or this, or that.
He's got an English accent. It's like we don't.
Oh yeah, I didn't want
and even the English accent, he doesn't speak normally. What the? Americans think I'm Australian or Scottish. They're like,
you got to blend. Your wife's Australian. You're English. Your mom's Irish. You're all over the place.
The one time I had an audition for an English accent, they said, we're a little bit confused. You sounded a little American. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I can't get American parts because I can't do an American accent. And I can't get English because I'm bastardized from living out here for a few years. Speaking of which, though, we won't talk about it. I got a lead role coming up. It's end of May, early April. Greenlit.
Go, dude.
It's going.
There
anyway,
go.
Never mind that. Harrington, give us one more.
Does that mean I'll be picking up the slack for you at work?
Probably.
All right. It's a win for both of us, Michael. And hey, if the roles ever reverse and I get a big role and I'm busy, I'll be sure to say, hey, Zach, Michael's ready to work.
Speaking of Nate Diaz, you're taking everything I worked for. Okay. What else we got?
Speaking of taking everything he worked for, Arman Sarukian says Justin Gaethje has not done enough off of a win against Rafael Fiziev on short notice. Says that the number one contender shot for lightweight goes through Arman Sarukian.
Take it away, Paul. Oh, never mind that. Never mind that.
Well,
don't take it away. Don't go anywhere.
Pause that.
We had Oban Elliott on before, and I had to comment on what a wonderful jawline that he had. But the king of all jawlines, the one and only Alexander, the great Volkanovski, the former featherweight champion, the featherweight contender, UFC 314 main event, Sydney's finest, Wollongong's mascot. I don't know. What's going on, Volk? How are you, brother?
I'm good. Mascot. What's that?
Well, I don't know. I just went out of fucking adjectives.
All right. I was going to the little mascot. The little, I don't know, what would you call it? Just a little gnome mascot, I think you could say. There you go.
With St. Patrick's Day, I see you got a bit of green on.
Oh, it's actually, it's green underneath. But is that what, there you go. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing that for that.
Yeah, you did it on purpose, Volk. What are you talking about?
Yeah, sorry.
Planned it out.
Jump on that. How are you guys doing?
Man, we're good, dude. I mean, we're glad to have you on the show, bro. I can't talk enough, Volk, about how great you are to watch on anything you do, man, whether it's pre-fight stuff, cooking with Volk, just your personality. By the way, congrats on being possibly the best girl dad that has ever existed. By the way, I have my third girl on the way, Volk, so I'm trying to catch up to you, but I think I was hunting for a boy as well, man. So congrats. And how are you feeling with that in camp? And I've been watching some of your YouTube stuff, man. So just thanks for coming on, dude.
No worries at all. Yeah, it's 4 girls, which is crazy. It's funny. Every time you do it, you'll hear them like, oh, you're going to try and go for another boy? I was like, mate, I've tried more than enough times. But this one was a surprise. We were like, oh, okay. Well, let's see if the boy comes. Another girl. But again, all good. I'm a girl dad. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's been great. Camp's going great. Everything's going good. You know, it's as you said with the cooking with Volk. Everything outside of fighting as well has been going great. But yeah, I'm in camp, so a lot of that's going to have to slow down a little bit. Of course. While I get in the gym and kick ass.
Hell yeah, dude.
Let me ask you this, Volk. I'm obviously going to talk about the fight and how it all came together and your thoughts on Diego, etc., etc. God, it sounds insulting. Given the fact that you are 36 now, but what I'm saying is, like, you have such a big personality and you have such a large following. Is there have you kind of thought about afterwards when you're done with fighting? Because I assume you'll be hosting TV shows in Australia, maybe even cooking shows or whatever. Has there been any kind of conversations with stuff like that? Because you are very good on camera. You've got a large following. You've got a brilliant personality. Yeah. Has there been any talks about anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things coming through. You know what I mean? Even right now, while I'm still doing my thing, while I'm still fighting, a lot of things are coming through, which is good. But yeah, man, you're always thinking about it. I've been thinking about that sort of stuff for a while. I mean, the cooking thing's really taken off. There's a lot of opportunities that come with that. As you said, I'm pretty comfortable in front of the camera. So there's a lot of opportunities there. So it's crazy, right? Like I lose a belt and I feel like my brand's never been bigger, even coming off the 2 losses. But do I need to keep fighting? No, not really. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's fighting because he needs to. No, I don't. I want to. And I truly do believe I still got it. So, and everyone has every right to be like, look at his age, coming off 2 losses. And the only way to change people's opinions on that is going out there and do what I plan on doing in a few weeks. So, cannot wait to go out there and do it. As I said, everyone has a right to to doubt me. Everyone knows I love this position anyway. So, so it's good because training's going great. Last year, leading into the camp, I had, as we know, I had a big break. Even though I was still training, had a big break, eating well, so a little bit bigger. And then I was, even asking myself, am I still going to have it? You know what I mean? Because I've never had such a big break and things like that. So I was even asking myself that. And then I'll go, look, once I get in camp, I'll flip the switch and everything's going to be fine. And then you're like, oh, is it? Them little questions that pop in your head. And then literally I started getting in camp. I decided to bring that weight down nice and early. And very, very happy where we are. I couldn't believe it. Ahead of schedule. So early in camp, I was really fit, sharp. Everything was going. Obviously, I've always been strong, but to still be so sharp and moving so well at I don't know, a lot of people are going to say the age. I don't feel the age, but it must be a thing, right? So for people to bring that up, I feel great. You know what I mean? If this age is meant to be a factor, I'm very, very happy where we are.
And Volk, speaking of the fight, and I've been watching some of the training footage too, man. By the way, love all that stuff that you're putting out there. I think fans love to get a behind the scenes look of what goes into these training camps and traveling around Thailand, whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, all of that, giving good insight on what's going on. But when Ilya decided to be like, oh, I'm done with 145, I can't make it anymore, and that kind of gets taken away from you, and you really don't have any choice in that matter, right? If the guy moves and decides to vacate the belt and no longer wants to fight at 145, what was your feelings initially when that happened? And you go, okay, I really want to fight for the belt, and it doesn't matter. Obviously, you want to be the champion, whether it's him or anybody else, but what was your initial reaction when it's like, oh, he's just leaving and not even giving me the opportunity to potentially fight back for that? What went through your mind?
It was a slow process of figuring that out. So that helped, because if it was like, after the little face-off we did after his fight with Max, it's locked in. I had him in my sights, obviously a rematch that I wanted for the belt. That was a perfect world. And then, then he did start mentioning moving up. Then, wasn't sure what was going on. At the start, I didn't like the idea. Maybe negotiations, it's just maybe something like that. I don't really know the situation. I won't look too much into it. Then it started getting to a point where things were dragging on. I wanted to fight maybe that little bit sooner. And then, I wasn't sure what was going on. So then it got to a stage where I'm like, all right, well, let's just fight. Give me a fight, because I don't want to wait around any longer. As we know, I've already had a massive break. So that sort of eased that for me. That made it easy for me, because I did want that. But, then I actually found out when Dana announced it that he was vacating. So I knew it was going to be Diego, only 2 weeks before. But at that stage, I was like, come on, what's going on? I'll fight anybody, interim, whatever. It doesn't matter. Let me just fight. And, I can do Ilya later if he doesn't want to fight right now, whatever it is. So that's where we're at. So it was easy. And then I end up seeing his live, and he's like, oh no, he's vacated, he's moving up. I was like, wow, I didn't expect him to just, even though I heard him talk about it, I knew that he wanted to eventually move up. I just didn't think he would just vacate. And he must have something locked out. Does he have that Islam fight locked in? I don't know. It only makes sense for him to actually vacate, or he really does believe he's done enough at featherweight and he just wants to chase that lightweight. Good on him, man. I'm not going to stand in his way. Obviously, I wanted that fight, but I guess I got the next best thing for actual belt. And yeah, Diego, still a young, hungry guy. The new school, as people are saying, that's something that I wanted to prove to everyone as well. Not only I could get that win back, but show you that I could still beat the new school. And Diego's still new school. So I got the next best thing, fighting for the vacant belt.
Well, mate, listen, it's a huge opportunity. And for you to come back and become the champion again, what a story that will be. Real quick, before we talk about that a little bit more, do you have an opinion or a potential pick? Obviously, you've been in there with Islam and Ilya. What do you think about that matchup? And do you think Islam should face him? Because he's saying he needs to win one at lightweight. What are your thoughts on that whole situation and as a fight itself?
I understand. Put it this way, if he was trying to hang on both belts, I don't think that was going to happen. The fact that he's vacated and the lightweight division's in a position where I don't know. There's no real clear number one. I think it's fair. The fact that he vacated, I think that's fair. If he wanted to hang on and do the double champ thing, I think he needed to do more work. But the fact that he's like, look, I'm going to let this one go, let that division move on. I want to commit to lightweight. I think that's big. I think that's fair. So I think he sort of deserves it. How do I think that fight's going to go? Look, yeah, I have fought both of them. Islam is going to be a hard man to beat. Like, I think for anyone, I think the only chance of him losing is someone, knocking him out, right? Like someone landing something. That's what I believe. And I've always believed that about myself. The only way I would lose is, someone catching me rather than actually beating me. The only person that I believe will give me that close fight is Islam. You know what I mean? And and I feel the same for Islam with a lot of the opposition. I think everyone has a puncher's chance. I think that's the only way I see him really losing, someone catching him. And if anyone could do it, it is Ilya. Ilya's obviously got some dangerous hands. So for people to just count him out, it's like, man, like, he's got power in his hands. He's going to be looking for it. He's composed. And even if things aren't going his way, he's going to keep looking for it, keep trying to find it until he does or until he loses. So, he's dangerous. Maybe if the gas tank goes, we'll see when he starts, them later rounds with someone like Islam. But early on, the first 3 rounds, he's going to be dangerous. You don't want to be getting caught by any of those punches. So if anyone could catch him, I think Ilya's right up there for a chance.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're right. I mean, and I agree with you where I think maybe there's something that we're just not being told yet, that fight maybe is getting closer. So the rumorville online is buzzing with that and potential fights that could be coming up in the future. But let's dive a little more into this one, Volk, with you and Diego. And you talk about the new school. You talk about this kind of young, hungry kid. What about his style you think is dangerous? And is there any areas in particular? I mean, you're a guy that's shown time and time again how well-rounded you are, whether it's leg kicks, mixing in your wrestling, ground and pounding guys, fighting out of close submissions, which this kid can bring to the table as well. How do you see this particular matchup playing out? And what makes him the true contender to be facing somebody with the status that you have, my man?
Well, the haircut's dangerous real quick. That is the style of the haircut's
by the way,
dangerous.
bro, by the way, I got to say that shit, when you start singing some emo music, I thought back to my own youth, and I'm just like, I started singing like Dashboard Confessional and shit out loud when you were doing that. You nailed it, because that's what we're all thinking. No disrespect, and I agree with you there. But you look at that kid's haircut, and that's all you think is emo and just being an emotional teenager singing. So, well done on that. Hey, not a bad singing voice either, Volk. You multi-dimensional, dude.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, I can do a few things. I mean, I can hit some notes if I really wanted. That was more just trying to hit the emo sort of, really stick to that. But I mean, I'm telling you, I'll grab the mic sometime and I'll really, really try and hit some notes. And I reckon I could surprise some people. It might not be too much of a surprise because they've heard me sort of sing, but that wasn't me really, really trying to get stuck into it. But maybe I'll do that another time. But yeah, you're right. Like full emo at the front and just cowboy at the back with the mullet. It's it's different, but I mean, he's a good dude, man. You can see him laughing about it.
He was good. He was a good sport.
Yeah, exactly. So good on him. Nothing against the kid, but he's dangerous, right? So he's why is he dangerous? Very aggressive. So that's why he's dangerous. But I mean, it's worked for him. He's done well. But if I could tell you fighters in featherweight division that could capitalize on people being very aggressive, and they might be dangerous, but there's probably a lot of holes that can be capitalized on, who would you think that would be? I feel like I'm definitely one of those guys. So I think if you're going to come that aggressively at me, you can catch me. I still think that's his best chance. It's weird because I think it's his best chance trying to catch me with something. Because, there's no way he's beating me like on a decision or, he's going to outwork me or anything like that. So his best chance is to be aggressive. At the same time, that can be his downfall with someone like me. So it's weird, one. I feel like he has to do that, but at the same time, I can capitalize on that as well. It would be much easier if he tried to play it safe and try and beat me and then not be aggressive, right? Like, I think then it's just going to be, there's no threat there, and then it's just going to be easy pickings for me. Like, that's how I believe. And I'm not a knock to him, but his style is, very aggressive. Even his jiu-jitsu, very aggressive. You know, he's going for submissions. But again, as we've seen, I can really capitalize that. If you want to be aggressive like that, you're going to put yourself in dangerous positions as well if you do not get that submission. So if that submission doesn't come, be ready for me to punch that head through the canvas. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm known for as well. So there's a lot of opportunities I can capitalize on, but young, hungry, dangerous guy. And man, it's a fun one. You know, I think he still deserves a spot because of how active he was. He had a lot of good finishes early on. He's coming off a couple of decisions, but still aggressive. Still showed that he's got that aggressive style. He's always looking for the finish, and the fact that he was just taking on guys that are coming in on the day. Credit to Dan Ige for doing that as well. But we've got to remember Lopez accepted that fight as well.
Yeah.
And just things like that. He'll fight anyone, anywhere, and we know that the bosses love that, and so do the fans. So he's in the position now. Again, he's a new school. It was no surprise that he was a guy that the UFC chose to fight me for the vacant belt. I know Mosvar's name's there, but as I said, I want to be busy. So I plan on going out there, doing my thing. No injuries. Even if there's an injuries, I'll make sure I work around there, stay in good condition, so I could still be back in the octagon as soon as possible. And Mosvar, maybe he doesn't even have to have another fight. I'll keep the division busy enough where these guys that do sort of deserve, what do I do? Do I sit? Do I wait? I'll probably be fighting you before you have that next fight anyway, so you may as well fight for the belt. So I'm ready to go out there and do that same thing.
I was going to say, that's why people have got to love you, Volk. You know what I mean? There's not many people out there saying, don't worry, just wait on the sidelines. I'll get to you next.
I'll get to you.
Volk, I don't need to blow smoke up your ass. The career you've had is phenomenal. Definitely, if not the greatest of your featherweight of all time. You were undefeated for so long, defended the belt so many times. Now you're coming back, you're fighting to become the champion again. It's an emotional roller coaster, the life of a fighter. You know, where is the pressure here? Is it the kind of like you don't feel any pressure because, listen, I've been there, done it, got the T-shirt, I've made plenty of money, my future's set? Or do you feel a lot of pressure because it's like, hold on a minute, fucking that doesn't sit right with me, what happened in the last two fights, and I want to prove to the world. Like, what kind of is the mindset coming into this one?
I wouldn't say there's pressure. I mean, I obviously want to prove people wrong, but I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted, that's why I wanted to fight Islam Makhachev's, even on 11 days notice. You know what I mean? The challenge excites me. So it's not like I need to prove something, the pressure of needing to prove something. I guess I've always wanted to prove myself. So it's a normal feeling for me. I've always looked for something like this to prove myself. I guess this is a lot easier because I'm coming off 2 knockout losses, so it ain't hard to find, the
motivation
people doubting me, or you know what I mean. Yeah, that it's not hard to find, but it's just I think more of the pressure came when I wasn't really sure, like how am I going to be after my fighting? These were questions I was asking. Every fighter's going to ask themselves that. Even when you're aware of it, you start getting caught. Like as we know, there was a time where I was a champ. I wanted to defend. Like me waiting around, I couldn't take it. I had a responsibility. I've got to get back in there, and I was, I don't know how much longer I've got. And then I'm like, being a bit uneasy in between camps. I'm like, why am I uneasy, man? What's going to happen when I'm done? All these questions are coming in my head. But the break that I had after the fights. Took all that pressure off because I know I'm going to be okay. Like it was great. I absolutely loved the break that I had, and now I understand why the pressure was on me. So I had a responsibility. I was fully committed to my craft, my sport. So that, and so I wanted to defend. I didn't want to be waiting around. So me waiting between fights, full schedule still, so I couldn't put any energy anywhere else because I was still 100% committed to the game, made it hard because I'm like, here I am investing everything right now and I don't have a fight in sight. So that was tricky for me. So I didn't get it. but now I get it. So now I know I can flip the switch on and off. I accepted the break that I had, the long break, and it was great. And I just knew, all right, when I need to switch it on, I'll switch it back on. Well, I won't say I knew, because I was asking myself, will I be able to switch it? I'm like, yeah, trust me, you will. Like, obviously positive about it all. And I'm glad I did, because I did flip the switch straight away, and I flipped the switch very well. Maybe because I have never had a big break like this, it made me realize, like, okay, you've had a massive break. This is a bit out of the norm. Let's go a little bit more above and beyond. Let's do a 14, 15-week camp. Let's not drink alcohol from that far out, maybe even longer. Not even a cheat meal. I haven't even had a cheat meal, proper cheat meal for from the fight. Like, it's going to be like 15 weeks or something without a proper cheat meal. Obviously, he's still eating good. But I used to go all out on the weekends with my cheat meals. But I haven't even had one of those. So I'm going a little bit more above and beyond. I wanted to bring that weight down. That was a decision I made early in camp, so I could move through fast and sharp. And it was great. And I just thought, I'm just going to roll it on. Even though my weight's good right now, I'm just going to keep doing it. I feel great. So, very, very happy where everything is. Very, very happy with myself as a fighter right now. And as a human being, because I wasn't too sure about you. I didn't know really. You lose a bit of yourself when you're fully invested and got no time for nothing. All the energy goes into fighting for so many years, and it was like that I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't really understand myself, or who I am as a person outside of fighting. Now I know. Now I'm confident. Now I'm comfortable. Now I feel great. And very, very, happy that I understand that now I'm going to be okay. So, I'm looking forward to sailing off in the sunset and all that, but that's just not right now. I'm still, the fact that I know that I'm going to be sweet later, it gives me even more comfort going in and kicking ass the next, next few years.
Yeah, kind of makes you almost want to savor it a little bit more, right? Knowing that, okay, that's waiting for me. But right now I've got business to handle. And I just got to ask, you talk about having those crazy cheat meals on the weekend, Volk. What would be your go-to? If I said, all right, right now you can have the most massive cheat meal that you can have right now, what are you going to?
Man, because I'll probably go some fried chicken. I'll probably go a bit of KFC, man.
Oh, come on, Volk. That's disappointing.
I love it. I love it, man. I love a bit of it because I don't know, it's very greasy as well. Because the kids don't mind it here and there. So I would even sometimes just grab a little bit of skin or have a little bite. And I'm like, oh, man, that's so good. I'd love to just dig into one of those. So that's probably the main thing because that's something I'm staying away because of, you got some calories in those. Like a pizza, I've had a piece of pizza and stuff like that. So it's good. I've even been able to have a burger. Right now, I haven't really been able to just dig into a whole piece of fried chicken. So I might say, I would go KFC, a big block of chocolate, a bag of pods, mate. I'll go nuts. I mean, I'll go ham on like a family meal and pretty much do it all myself, and then just get like family blocks of chocolate and bags of chocolate and absolutely smash it. That's how I used to be.
I'm with you, by the way. I saw on your one YouTube video that you were talking, you guys were in the one aisle and you're talking about sweets and gummies and things like that. And I'm a chocolate guy. I'm a chocolate guy all day, every day, over gummies and all that kind of shit. So I got you there, Volk. I'm
hearing you.
I'll have to have a shipment of some chocolate sent to you after you get that belt back.
Let me ask you this, Volk. We were talking before about Diego Lopez, the haircut, the style on him. Brian Harrington, if you guys are there, can one of you bring this up? Number 9 in the notes. Tell me what you think of this haircut, Volk, because it's a little bit special. Brian Harrington or any of the producers there? Oh, there we go. Hold on, zoom in on John Jones there. What is going on there? He's got an arrow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How haven't I seen that yet?
Yeah, bro, it's all over the place. Look at that.
Yeah,
what
he's
do you
got
think
a whole
of that?
arrow on
What do
his
you make
head.
of that, Volk?
Well, I mean, so who's that again that he's doing? That's is that?
I have no idea. I'm not
Naruto
down with the anime
maybe or
kids.
something. One of the anime things. Look, I'm not
Avatar.
right into the anime. Who is it?
Avatar.
Avatar. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, I should have known that. I'm not right into that, so I don't get it. But I mean, I know people are fully committed, fully invested. So good on him. You know what I mean? I ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? Actually, I was going to say I don't have the hair to do it, but where he did the arrow, I think I've got enough hair where the arrow is, so maybe I could do it. I think I could do it if I wanted. I mean, if
that
the arrow was
over
over
a long time ago, Volk. Come on, don't
if the
lie.
arrow was over here or something like that, I got no chance.
No go.
But down the middle, the arrow, I can make it work, but I won't do it.
Hey, Volk, while we have you, and we won't take up too much more of your time, and thank you, because you are disciplined, because it's crack of dawn there for you. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. No doubt you got a full day of training coming up, and you're shooting the shit with us. And Alex is in the stream with audio only. I think he's got a phone call or a text message.
Sorry, phone call was coming through. My bad.
No, don't be silly, mate. Don't be silly. As a champion, a long-time champion, as a guy that went up to become a 2-weight division champion, what's your opinion on the whole John Jones, Tom Aspinall situation? Because, I've given mine many times. I do the podcast every week. Everyone's sick of me hearing about it. But as a guy that's been at the top of the sport, the absolute pinnacle, and held that position for so long, what's your kind of position on this right now?
It's a tricky one, right? Like, it's just the fact that heavyweight champion, interim champion, it's the only fight to make. I think it's got out. Like, how can you just defend your belt against someone else? That's just not gonna, not really how it's meant to be. Like, that's the whole point of interim champ. It's a fight everyone wants to see. It is probably the biggest fight they could do. So they'll be crazy to give John Jones anyone else. Like, I don't get it. Like, what else? He's not going back down to light heavyweight, is he? Like,
no.
There's no way John Jones is doing that. So the only fight to make, unless is he going to vacate? If he vacates and just doesn't want to fight, that doesn't look good. It means you're obviously ducking Tom if you want to fight, but it's not going to be Tom. It's hard to look at it any other way. I mean, John Jones has done more than enough in his career. But right now, if you want to continue as a heavyweight champion, it has to happen. You know what I mean? It's just a no-brainer. Like, you know what I mean? But, I mean, could you imagine if he was able to do that? Go out there and take out Tom Aspinall? Like, that'll be impressive. You know what I mean? He's already got an impressive resume, but to do the new school, and then this isn't just any heavyweight. This is a very fast, explosive, true heavyweight that moves like a lightweight, you know what I mean? It's just, as you say, very, very well-rounded. If John Jones was able to find a way to beat him, like, I don't know if there's going to ever be a resume that could even come close to that because of what he's done, you know what I mean? So it's it's an interesting one. I get why it's a tough fight for him, but at the same time, if you're gonna be the heavyweight champion, it needs to happen. Like, there's no way around it. If you just decided to vacate the belt before this happened, before there was interim and all that, I don't know, maybe you could get away with it. But I mean, right now, if you even retire, a lot of people, there's always going to be question marks around that. But if you fight someone else other than Aspinall, it's just pretty ridiculous, I think. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to have a shot at him, but I mean, it's just, I don't know, what's the point of divisions? What's the point of interim? What's the point of rankings and all that sort of stuff? You know what I mean? Like, again, I feel for him because he could be like, what do I got to prove still? But I mean, if you want to be heavyweight champion, then that's just how it goes.
Yeah, no, for sure. Sorry. Well, we don't want to take up too much more of your time, so we'll let you go. But ideal world, you go out there, you get the win over Diego Lopez. 3 more retirements. You go off into the sunset. You got 4 beautiful daughters. You're living in a beautiful part of the world. Life's good. I mean, Jesus Christ, Volk, what a future you've made for yourself. That sounds incredible, man.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, I'm feeling great. So I feel like, and I want to be active. So
hold on, more than 3 title defenses? You're just going to keep going?
Oh, I feel like because I want to get 3 this year. I want to try and fit in 3 this year. So I've already got it. Like, depending, you got your Mosvar straight away. I'd love to do that, man. I'll literally hit up Hunter straight after. Again, I'm not looking past Lopez, but I'm planning on doing what I do. Then talking to them. All right, give me a date right now before I get on the mic. You know what I mean? Like, Mosbo, get your ass here. You know, whatever date this is. Depending on how Pitbull and Yair goes. If Pitbull goes and does his thing in impressive fashion, is he going to be in a position? These guys don't need to fight again. Don't worry. I mean, you know, by the time you have that fight, I'm already looking to, you know, you're just going to make me wait. I ain't waiting. So, you know what I mean? If these guys fight, then they want breaks. And you know what I mean? Then I'm waiting around. I don't want to wait around. So I'll be like, he's just, you know, maybe, you know, if you were going to fight on the, you know, whatever it is, March, it's like, oh, sorry, if you were going to fight on like May, don't worry. Hold on another month and you can fight for the belt. No worries. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'll keep you as busy as, you know, and I got work. I still got work to do and I want to do it in a pretty short time. So, yeah, like how I'm feeling right now, feeling great, you know, so, mate, I'm planning on doing 3 this year, and then we'll keep it rolling.
Let's
you gotta love
fucking go, mate. And that's why people love you. This is not a dig at your age. That's proper old school mentality, though. Do you know what I'm saying? Sitting around and waiting and all the rest of it. Right, mate, we've taken up enough of your time. Always good to see you. Love seeing you out there in Sydney. Can't wait to see you back in the cage against Diego Lopez. Thanks for your time today, buddy, and good luck. We'll talk to you soon.
No worries.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Mate, I'm telling you, the comeback is going to be massive. You just wait and see.
Let's go. Looking forward to it, buddy.
See you later.
All right, Volk, you're the man. Take care. How can you not love that guy?
I don't know. I love that dude. I really do. Like, I love talking to that dude. He's one of my. I've always said I'll talk to even Christine. Because you hear me talking about, like, I watch his YouTube videos and shit like that just because he's funny. He trains his head. Yeah, I know.
What's the movie?
Well, it's Dumb and Dumber 2, right?
Dumb and Dumber 1.
Well, I mean, it's also Dumb and Dumber, meaning like we quote that one all the time. That's one of our go-tos.
Is it? Yeah, it is Dumb and Dumber.
A lot.
Oh, yeah, I like it a lot. You guys might like the show a lot, but we better get. People have got homes to go to, bills to pay, people to see, drinks to drink on St. Patrick's Day. I'm starving. I haven't eaten. It's hot as hell in this room. My face is red as a beetroot. I got a pack for London. We haven't even spoke about that stuff. But
yeah, when are you leaving? When do you leave tomorrow?
I leave tomorrow, not until 10 p.m. though. My flight's at 10
p.m. direct.
So I leave here at 7, get there to the airport by 8, direct to London. Land
what
at
time
3
do you get
o'clock
in?
in the afternoon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but then it'll be rush hour by the time I get out. Get to the East End of London. Then I got some interviews. I've got some stuff to do. Then we've got fighter meetings Thursday. I've got a TNT Sports weigh-in show. we got the ceremonial weigh-ins. We've got to have beers with Oban Elliott.
That's
you
true.
know, we've got a fight to call. We've got dinners to have, workouts to take part in.
Yep.
Research to do. What else? My brother's coming down with my dad. I got a family reunion.
Jeez, you got a lot on your plate. You got a lot on your plate, Michael.
Have you packed?
No.
I'm a last minute packer.
Me too. I leave my flight's at 7:40 p.m. tomorrow. So that's tomorrow, Paul. Problem.
Oh, God, you got all day. If you have a question, please send it into bympod@gmail.com. Do us a favor, like the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel. Do us a favor, leave a comment. Do us a favor, send the video question into bympod@gmail.com. And
please.
With that said, Brian McKay, give him a follow at B McKay's right and all social media channels at Felder Paul. Look at this. See, I've got it all down for Paul Felder across Twitter, Instagram, X, all that jizz. VM Harrington, same shit. Platforms, knock yourself out. Brian, what do we got?
What's up, BYM? Longtime listener. Andrew here from New Jersey. Question for both Bisping and Paul. One thing that me and my buddies always watch the fights debate about is when the fighter's coming out and they're getting the Vaseline applied. Sometimes they use the roller, sometimes they use the glob. My question is, do you get a choice if the cut man is using the roller or the glob? And do you have a preference as to which one they use? Also, a question for Paul. Paul, I work in Bucks County. Give me your cheesesteak spot. Let me know. Thank you. Enjoy the podcast. You, Harrington.
I like it. I've got to say, I'm not an expert in Vaseline application. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, yeah, I don't have a preference. I think it's just a preference of the cut man himself. I think Tate uses that roller thing that he makes. I don't know if other guys are using it now as well. It's just an easier way for him to apply it as opposed to having it in that thing that they have to fill, like the little canister that they keep on their wrist. And no preference. I mean, as long as I'm getting the right amount of grease on my face for a fight, I don't really care too much. And as far as cheesesteaks, you know, I'm a guy from Philly and I get a lot of shit for this, but I don't really eat many cheesesteaks. It's never been my go-to sandwich. I'm more of a hoagie guy, and I like to make cheesesteaks at home. Christine actually makes a really good cheesesteak. My dad used to make really good cheesesteaks. So I do like cheesesteaks, but I just don't go out and get after them too much. When I did, and I lived in Philly proper, in South Philly, I would go to Jim Steaks, which burned down and I think is back open again on South Street. So if I was to pick one right now, I would say Jim Steaks on South Street was my go-to when I would get cheesesteaks.
I'm with you on the whole Philly cheesesteak thing, though. It's just like a shitty quality meat in a bun with cheese.
Well, the actual meat itself at the right places, it's actually, you can get really good steaks shaved down really thin. And if you make them at home, that's what I'm saying. You can pick the best. You can get some legit quality stuff. I'm telling you, if you came to the house and we made you cheesesteaks for like a fight night or something like that, you would like it. But you're right. When you go, it's the same thing as any kind of late night sandwich type spot. That's what cheesesteaks really are. It's a quick fill you up while you're drunk type food.
Yeah, no, which is a great type of food. But we're doing like carnivore in our house right now. It's all steak and eggs.
Skip the roll. You just skip the roll.
And yesterday we went out and I said, you know, let's just get a burger. So we got a burger. I said, medium rare, overcooked. The bun was dry. It was so annoying because I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a burger. I haven't had a burger in ages. Screw it. Let's go. It was terrible. Going back to the Vaseline thing. Yeah, I agree with what Paul said. I was walking into a fight once. I forget which one it was. I want to say, I don't know. Maybe was it Dan Miller? Was it CB Dalloway? Might have been Alan Belcher. The guy got a lot of Vaseline in my eye. I was like, I couldn't see. And vision's never my strong point anyway, but still, there it is. There's the show. You're going to go. It's St. Patrick's Day. Go crazy. Everyone, thanks for watching. Paul, do you have a final Patrick's Day message for these guys? Oh, Brian says we've got more questions. We'll run through this real quick. Let's go, Brian. Let's go.
Anyways, my question is, when on the commentary you refer to the truck, is that like an actual truck? Particularly like if you're out on the road, for example, is it like a literal truck, or is it like just like some room up in the heavens or something? I assume it is, but if it is just a normal room, then why is it called a truck? Because it's quite an odd word to describe it with, really. Yeah, that's just my question.
Cheers. Yeah.
Harrison, go yourself.
Paul.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm going to throw it to you. But you know the thing, the truck that we always sometimes refer to, why did they call it a truck?
Because it usually is in like a trailer. Like if you were on the road, they are like, they're just a big old truck with like equipment and screens and things like that. When we're in the Apex and stuff like that, it's just a control room, but we still call it the guys in the truck, even though they're just upstairs at the Apex. So, I mean, he's actually got a really good point to ask about that. But yeah, on the road, oftentimes, like I think even in London, they'd be in a truck in like the parking area underneath of the arena and things like that. So yeah, more often than not, they are in a literal truck that drives in and then sets up and parks, and they set up all the equipment with all the connections and stuff like that.
Yeah, people have no idea the amount of work that goes into that, because in those trucks, you know, there's I don't know,
a million screens,
thousands TV screens, buttons, and you know, like you think of like a professional mixing studio, like you see in, you know, like music videos and stuff. Yeah, there you go. On like levers and slides and stuff just everywhere. There's a bunch of people in there. People are screaming, they're arguing like some
Flappy's stressing out as always. Anthony's in there yelling at everybody as loud as
we
he can.
can hear it coming through our headphones. If there's like one tiny little mistake, you just hear people screaming their heads off because they want it absolutely perfect. And oftentimes with the viewer, they can't even notice it. They can't even tell what the tiniest little thing is. But there's it's madness, but it's awesome, So there's a lot of effort goes in, and they're all squeezed in the back of these trucks, which are trucks or trailers that get towed all over.
More like a trailer, and they just call it a truck. So that's a good question.
There you go. All right, well that's it. That's the show. We'll be back next week. Don't miss it. Take care.